Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Thursday night at the GSRC. It's round 3 of Season A of 2023, and we are at one of the best racing circuits in the world. It's Brands Hatch, live from England, and we are bringing you Formula V's around this brilliant Formula 1 venue. I'm Liam Banks. Alongside me, running production and co-comms is Daniel Cressar, and we're hoping that we'll be joined by Zach Caban a little bit later on in the night. You know how much he hates to miss his V's, so he's rushing home right now to try and join us at some point during the stream. But until we have him to entertain us, me and Daniel will be here, as will everybody out on track. We've got a pretty strong grid on there tonight. Over 20 cars in the session, and the lap times are pretty close. Sam Chapman leading the way in qualifying at the moment with only 2 minutes to go, so he is the favourite to get pole position after missing round 2. He is back and ready to try and make his mark on this season. It is 20 degrees, perfect temperature as always. Track temperature at 26 degrees, air temp of 20, gorgeous conditions, very little wind. The drivers have no excuse if they spin. You know it's all on them tonight, and in these Formula V's it is as easy as ever to spin, particularly around that hairpin going through turn 1 with the elevation change. That is very, very dramatic. If you've never seen it from the onboard of a car, I recommend you find a way to see it, because it's hard to believe just how much they drop into turn 1. These are your current driver standings. Adam Lavis, one of our broadcasting colleagues, and just general guy who does a lot of things around the club, the point system. You can thank Adam Lavis for that, and you'll see him in the Discord pretty much every day. He's on top of the standings, 147, followed by Tony Baker on 134, Phil King on 121. Then there's a bit of a gap down to 4th with Eden Schultz and Peter Matson in 4th and 5th, followed closely by Sean McKenzie, John Merritt, Kevin Henderson, and then Kay Donnelly, Greg Wellman, Aaron Glutinia, and it goes on. It's very, very close at this point, only 2 rounds in, and we've got some big names not at the front, like Sam Chapman. He's been in the title fight multiple seasons now, and he is way down there. So there is an opening for some new drivers to get down. I've got to say, it's a pleasure to see Pete Matson up so high in the standings as someone that races a lot in the GSRC. Just a few seconds to go in qualifying. Doesn't look like anybody's really improving out there. Not a lot of green sectors, a lot of red. So this could be your grid for race 1 of 3 tonight. Sam Chapman is on pole position by just over a 10th from John Merritt. Then we've got Adam Proctor and Adam Lavis on row 2, bit of a gap between them and the front row. Then we've got Kevin Henderson and Schmidtke on the 6th row, Donnelly and Baldwin on the 4th, and Baker and Matson round out the top 10. In 11th, we have Phil King, and alongside him, Troy Davidson. Then we have Piper and Nealon behind them, Wellman and St. John in 15th and 16th, Longsdale and Heaton 17th and 18th, Chris Stark and Jonathan Hooper round out the top 20. And they're just lining up on the grid. Sam, I think we've still got music in the background.
Yes, we do.
Yes.
That'll fade out soon.
Oh, excellent. I usually can't hear it. So this is the time period when a lot of drivers, they'll just be checking their settings. Some drivers will have had a different, this is a fixed series, so they'll have had a different setup, but they might be just making sure that they've got everything, just so they've got settings they can change that all related to the car, just related to their fuel, perhaps just going in and make sure they have automatic fueling turned off, because if you have an early spin, you want to get back out there, you don't want to be wasting time getting fuel. Make sure your auto repair is turned on. They may just be adjusting their steering wheel settings if it's a car they're not as used to, or they'd like to go into that level of minutia to change the amount of feedback that they get through the wheel for different cars. So a few things some drivers do, which will be delaying them getting on the grid, but it looks like we're about at a full grid right now, and the lights are about to turn on. And racing. Oh, slow start there from Matt Schmidtke, and he gets plowed to the back by Joe Baldwin. So straight away a collision off the line. Adam Proctor has lost position to Adam Lavis off the line, so Adam Lavis is in third in the green and white as always. Sam Chapman under pressure from John Merritt in the Pulse Tuning entry, and he's going to make the move down into The hairpin, absolutely lovely there from John Merritt. We're going to see that move a few times over the course of this race. Matt Smitke continued to plummet down the order. He's down 4 spots into 10th. John Baldwin coming off worse from that contact, though. He's down 5 spots into 13th. Not too many big movers and shakers elsewhere in the field. Tony Baker and Phil King, two of the big beneficiaries, though, in 6th and 8th, with both of them starting on the peripheries of the top 10. This the longest straight on the circuit. Going to see a fair bit of slipstream action going into the first of what is a double right-hander, and it's a corner where you're trying to carry as much speed as you can. You're going to see them hang it all the way out onto that outside curbing when they're really pushing it. This corner, very tricky, quite blind on entry, really hard to get right. They're going to cut that corner as much as they can. Yeah, perfect example there from John Merritt, just letting all the car roll out out wide past the curb, because you actually have, you can see it just past the curb. It's not immediately grass. It's like a some sort of AstroTurf, and it's actually quite grippy, so you can go on there and it's very safe. You don't have to worry until you get to the grass. So if you do see cars going past the curb, usually we'd see that as a mistake. For this track, not a mistake, absolutely on purpose. And this is the final corner, and that's first lap over and done with. 1 minute and 45 seconds into the race. So going to be about a 6-lap race here. This is Adam Proctor going up along the outside of Adam Lavis. Very hard to make a move around the outside there and make a stick, but you can get the cut back. Adam Lavis defends the inside line brilliantly, though. Adam Proctor nowhere to go, has to check up a little bit and just halt his momentum, just nowhere to go. And that's Sam Chapman going up the inside of the hairpin, doing to John Merritt what Merritt did to him the lap before, and getting it done just as cleanly. I think we're going to see the lead change a few times in this race. Almost 3 wide in the background between Baker, Donnelly, and Phil King. So keep an eye on that. Everybody keeping it clean so far, which is lovely to see after the chaos of last week, shall we call it? A few going into the pits on lap 1, so might have been a few mistakes off screen that we didn't get to see. Matt Smitke being involved, he's now down to a position, so I think he's had contact somewhere on lap 1, and there's been a few casualties from that as John Merritt takes the lead back from Sam Chapman, and these two, they look like they made a little bit of a break at the start, but there's now a 5-way battle for the lead with Adam Lavis and Proctor getting involved, and Hendo on the back of this pack.
This has been a cracker start so far. Relatively clean on the first lap. I see one reported crash there, Gary Wellman, towards the back end of the grid. As for the front 5 have decided to split and make their own little bubble. John Merritt and Sam Chapman playing the proverbial leapfrog for the first couple of laps. Adam Lavis doing well there in P3. Adam Proctor almost had the move done going into turn 1, but the downhill towards Druids is tricky, as you said, Liam, in order to execute a move. So we'll see if maybe he can set himself up better now. You can see him tucked in right behind Lavis. He chooses the inside line now. It's a little bit better, but he'll have to watch for the washout because these cars tend to slide if you don't get the speed right. So here we go. And looks like Lavis gives him plenty of room to avoid any potential hit. Sam Chapman looking to the inside again, but not close enough. So he'll have to stay back in P2 for now, as John Merritt leads this pack for the 3rd lap. Kevin Henderson also looking for an attack vector on Lavis, but just a little too far back now. And this is not to discount those in the back part of the grid. There has been a crazy amount of switching there of the positions, and it looks like there is actually a major crash that's happened. We'll just go back and see if we can have a look. So this is Kate Donnelly coming up to Druids. What's happened here? Oh, Phil King's come in, and it looks like Baldwin got involved as well as Maddo. That's unfortunate there. So 4 cars.
Yeah, just a note, Kate Donnelly still running in 9th place, though. So while it was a pretty bad contact, the cost in terms of positions wasn't overly high. So I think all 4 of them have got away with that a little bit. It's quite a technical track, quite a difficult track. So there's going to be more of a lap time spread than perhaps we're used to seeing in the Formula Vs, because there is a lot of time spent in the corners. Excuse me, and it's very there's so much time to gain in each corner that we're just going to see a bigger spread compared to, say, someone like the Red Bull Ring, where there's not that much time in each corner. You know, even the the drivers that are normally quite as quick. The difference just isn't that high. Around a track like this, where you've got a lot of blind corners, a lot of corners that require you to have a lot of faith in the car to get the speed, you're going to see a bigger difference, and that's why these 5 have been able to break away. These are top 5 of the top drivers in this series. We've seen them battling again and again and again over the season, so it's not a surprise to see these 5 just breaking away from the second group. And of course, there was that collision in the top 10, which has helped these guys break away even further, so they can go hell for leather and not worry about being caught from anyone behind. Troy Davidson's had an off-track and see him plummeting down my timing screens. And just want to call out fastest on the last lap was actually Adam Proctor in this group in 3rd place, very, very, very close, of course. And the lap before was Hendo, so you can see they're getting the benefit of that slipstream, and it's really helping them to keep up. You're not going to see John Merritt posting the fastest lap because those guys behind him, even if they haven't made an overtake, they're just going to be able to complete the lap ever so slightly quicker than him. And it's going to set up for a fascinating battle as we come into the final stanza of this race, with only 2 or 3 laps left once they cross the line, depending on when exactly they do so. And that's John Merritt getting to lead, and Sam Chapman under pressure for 2nd place for the first time in this race. Even though they've been very, very close, it hasn't looked at danger of losing that spot until right now. Proctor looked to be getting alongside him, but now he's going alongside Merritt. It's going to be a brave move into here. It's blind on entry. Oh, and they're going to try. See how close Merritt's wheel was to touching the grass. That would surely sent him into a spin had he done so, but he just about gets away with it, and Adam Proctor smells blood. This is the view from Sam Chapman. Go on.
Yep, Adam Proctor's done an incredible job thus far. I think he's really taking advantage of the draft that has afforded him there in P3. And as Sam Chapman now on the ultimate defense, moving to the inside line, knowing that it is key. Coming up here, and look, Kevin Henderson's in the battle as well. So Lavis is trying real hard to sneak in on that inside line, see if he can use Proctor's advantage to keep the position there. John Merritt's washing out a little wide, but I think he might be able to keep the speed, so he's safe. However, Proctor has moved up to P2 now, and so it truly is a fight for at least the top 3 positions. However, do not count Lavis and Henderson out. They are right there with them, and if any of them make any small mistake, you can be sure that those 2 guys will jump at the opportunity. So right now we're at 7 minutes 30 of a 10-minute race. We've only got a handful of laps to go. Fastest lap, I believe, is still Adam Proctor with a 1:43.75. A quick browse. The leaderboard says that is still correct. And so with Sam Chapman leading this pack, will Adam be able to overtake in the next handful of laps? Or will Sam be able to defend this to the line?
Yeah, Sam is a very, very wily operator in these cars. You can guarantee him, Merritt and Proctor, they'll all have decided what position they want to be in at certain positions on the final lap. We've heard them talk about it before when we've chatted to them after a race. They decided, I wanted to be 3rd, I wanted to be 2nd, I wanted to even be as low as 4th going on to the final straight. Final straight's not as big around here, but they may decide, you know, going into the hairpin's such a good overtaking spot. I want to be 2nd going into the final lap so I can get the move done to the hairpin and then hold the lead from there. Each of these will have a strategy involved. It's not just a case of being out front is where you want to be in these cars. It's much more tactical than that, and that is one of the joys of watching these drivers go to work, because we can dissect their strategy and their tactics at the end of the race and decide if they did it right. And at the end of the day, the scoreboard, the final finish positions, does not lie. This is John Merritt shaping up for a move on. Proctor going to go around the outside. No, he decides to cut back. Proctor defends the inside. Sam Chapman looking to get involved. Who's going to make a move up the inside of the hairpin? Is anyone going to be brave enough? It's final lap. Surely someone's going to do it. Oh, Sam Chapman trying to go around the outside of Merritt. That's even bolder, but that's not going to work. Merritt just squeezes him out. There'll be no move going down into the left-hander. Someone brave might make a move into what is a very long left-hander coming up, where the elevation change really dictates how you have to enter the corner. With all the weight shifted to the back of the car, you start to go up that hill, means you can get an accelerator nice and early, and Sam Chapman looks to have got a decent run out of there, putting a lot of pressure on Merritt. Certainly that's the position that looks more under threat than Proctor at the front, who looks like he may have played an absolute blinder. But here comes Merritt. He's coming alongside Proctor, now going 3 wide into the right-hander. Chapman bails out of it. Proctor and Merritt touch, but they get away with it. And it's Proctor on the inside, Merritt on the outside. It's going to take some big kahunas to hold it on around there. And tell you what, Proctor left him a lot of space there. Fair play from Proctor. Very, very safe driving. And now Adam Lavis looking to get involved. He's trying to go alongside Sam Chapman. I don't think 4 into 1 goes, boys. So better be careful there. They all get through cleanly. Running out of opportunities to make the overtake now. Everybody can feel the wind slipping away. And that's Proctor losing the position to Merritt, but he's going to have the inside line for the final corner. What's he going to do here? Is he going to hold it tight and try to narrow it? No, they're going 3 wide. Sam Chapman's coming around the outside. He's going to have the longest route to the line, but he might be able to carry more speed. Can he make it work? I don't think he's gonna, because he hasn't got the slipstream. Merritt is behind Proctor. Can he use it to get ahead before the line? It's 4 wide almost, and it's Merritt ahead of Proctor. According to my timings, we'll have to wait for information. Sam Chapman in third.
Oh my lord, that's almost a dead heat.
That is as close as it gets.
Let's have a look here. I'm not sure if we'll be able to check this one out. So this is a little further back. So this is Merritt going on the inside here towards the penultimate corner. And I'm just curious if we'll be able to see. So here they come to the line. I wonder if... So, I do. Here we go. Let's have a look.
Oh, here we go.
And apologies for the dead noise because... So here we go. He really truly won by the... Look at that!
I'm still not convinced he did. Can we go like a frame back?
I think we can go... Can we go a frame back? I think I have the... Here, let me... put that on just so we don't have any noise here. So let's see if we can just go. Oh no, the race switched. So no, but I think he did win by a nose. We'll see if I can maybe go back to that towards the end, just before we cut over to the Porsche Cup Series. But that was as close as it gets, honestly. 0.00 on the timing screen.
I told you before the race that Brands Hatch is one of the best tracks in the world, and they didn't. I was proven right immediately with that finish. Pete Matson finished in 10th place, so he will have pole position for the reverse grid second race. Baldwin alongside him, then it's Piper and Donnelly on the second row. Donnelly showed their pace last time out. Can they go one better here tonight? Baker in the third row with Hendo, then it's Lavis, Chapman, Proctor and Merritt, our heroes from the last race, the real stars of race 1, and they'll be competing again for the win in race 2. Don't you doubt it, especially if they can get a good start. Hopefully everybody gets a clean start this time. Looking at you, Smitke. Let's get a nice clean one. And very sticky to get bogged down in these cars, but no real reason for it. Everybody getting a relatively clean start. A couple down the back of the field, having troubles, but everyone gets away cleanly. No one barreling into back of anybody else. Can they get through turn 1 cleanly? I was really surprised last time they did. It's a corner that invites different lines, and it's very easy to get tented. Try to go down the inside and just shadow yourself out too much and plow into the side of someone. Going through one into the hairpin. That's not going to work.
No!
Okay, that's Hendo, Merritt, and Baldwin all taking themselves out. Very, very ambitious from the third car in there. I'm sure we'll get a replay of that when we can to dissect who was at fault. But that's given everybody in the top 10 a bonus position or 3. So we're immediately going to cut and have a look at this. So I think John Merritt very, very ambitious there. Perhaps didn't realise there's another car on the outside. Perhaps thought that once they saw that he was on the inside, they'd give him a bit more space. Was just hugged tight to the inside, got on the curb, pushed out wide. And I'll be interested to see what race control make of that. As we see Tony Baker making a move in second. He's up 3 spots from 5th into second place and looking to take that right lead as Pete Matson continues to lead them away. Started from pole, and he's doing everything he needs to do so far to win this race. But Lavis, Chapman and Proctor are all behind him. They're already up into 4th, 5th and 6th, up 3 places each. Brandon Nealon's up 4 in 7th place. So there are a lot of very, very fast drivers behind this top 3 who want to get the victory that they couldn't quite get in lap 1, with John Merritt, winner of race 1, already out.
Oh, that's...
Vizor. That's Wayne Vizor taking a spin. That's somebody else as well.
Phil King got caught up there too. Yep.
Yeah, good shout.
So,
and that's Brendan Nealon off track as well, according to my screen, but perhaps...
oh, Pete Matson's crashed in the pit lane. What happened there?
Has he crashed into the pit lane? Is he spun?
Oh, he got touched. Oh, okay, so he got touched, and then just hits the tire barrier. Again, I've said this before, but honestly, Pete Matson is the most unlucky person I've ever seen. He gets involved in incidents that just aren't his fault. Oh, I feel so bad for him. And also, Josh Wiener, I saw that, and I noticed that, and you should feel bad.
Yeah, and that's brilliant. Love that. I love that. Love me a good pun. I think Tony Baker's part in that crash will be viewed very dimly. It's very easy to do, particularly the cars are so short. You're so confident in the length of these cars because they are really small. But there's just no need to get that close and risk the accident. It's a case of you do want the slipstream. Yes, you're getting close. You come off the throttle a little bit. There's all these things you can do to try and maintain the position you want and be safe. And it's just it's the kind of thing you can understand, like last lap, maybe you go a bit calmer on it. But when you're so early in the race, why risk it? Why take even a 5% risk of hitting the car in front? Just make sure you're clean, go out into clean air. Using the momentum you've already got, or sit, a good 12 inches behind them, 6 to 12 inches behind them, so that you're safe and you can react, and you know that you're not accidentally just going to nudge them like what happened there. Particularly first lap, you're getting used to everyone's braking points. It looks like they might have just been used to carrying more speed in that final corner than the leader, and it's just very easy to do. So if, first few laps to get used to someone ahead of you, you need to give them a little bit more space. I definitely don't always do that. I have done that crash. It feels disgusting when you're the person that does it, and I feel bad on behalf of Baker as well as Matson, because I know how guilty you feel. It's just one of those things that comes with experience. You sort of do it enough times, and eventually you think it's not worth the risk. But back to the racing that we do have, that was Adam Lavis trying to go around the outside, holding on his position from Kay Donnelly. Kay Donnelly putting up a good fight, starting in the top three. Starting in fourth, is down into fifth place with Chapman, Baker, Proctor, and Maverick ahead of him. So Chapman has taken the lead. Baker's in second, Proctor's in third, and that's Donnelly getting the move done on Adam Lavis. Adam Lavis trying to hold on around the outside. Looks like he's got a better run out of the corner. And we'll have the momentum coming down into the right-hander.
So Kay Donnelly had a lot of speed coming up to that first sector, but unfortunately had to take the inside line, and the grading is just a little bit higher than it is on the outside. That way, Lavis was able to keep the speed and maintain the position. Brendan Nealon right behind them as well, as long as Matt Schmidtke in attack range. So Kay Donnelly needs to be mindful of the cars behind as well as the car in front. But unfortunately for them, there is a bubble that's developed. So Sam Chapman, Tony Baker, and Adam Proctor are in their own little race right now. Very close together as Lavis touches the grass. And thank God for the iRacing update. Otherwise, we'd have 3 Vs around at that point. And I must say, for all the criticism that the update got, I'm all for it. I think that grip issues aside, I think that it is a benefit for the service rather than a net negative. I think that the worst feeling in the world is to be spun around because you went a millimeter too far onto the grass, which just isn't realistic at all. So.
Oh, I think it's the best update they've done since I've joined the service 2 or 3 years ago. It's made the racing so much more realistic in terms of the amount of punishment you get when you go off track. Like, you don't hit the grass and then suddenly it used to feel like ice, and you hit the grass and you hit in the wall, and it was taking cars out of races that they shouldn't have been out of. It meant we didn't see drivers pushing as hard as they could unless they were very, very, very good. It really punished those sort of medium skill drivers that can pull out a decent lap time, but they have to be more on the edge to do it. It punished them a lot more than it did the very, very elite level. So I think it's a really good change, and particularly the gravel as well. The gravel actually slows up the car down. You can feel the car dig into the gravel, and that is wonderful. I'm really good driving there from Proctor to avoid an incident there. Tried to pull out at the same time as Tony Baker pulled out to attack Chapman. Almost went into the back of him, but got out of it. Learning to tempering his aggression when he needed to stay in a fight is the hallmark of a very, very skilled driver.
So there's 2 very key battles that are happening right now. The first, of course, is the 3 cars up the front. But the second is this 5th, 6th, and 7th pairing, because Lavis is starting to leave them back because these guys are fighting a little too hard. Kay Donnelly has actually managed to put a 1-second gap now to the car behind. But Schmicky is bringing that down, and Brendan Nealon is doing well to stay behind that blue and orange Formula V. But as I spoke, it looks like they've all started to spread out now. So we all go back to the front three, who are still within the 5/10 mark of each other.
And Smitke proving how much of a loss he was from race 1 after that early incident, really making amends. He's up 10 spots from 16th to 6th. And I've been checking the lap times pretty consistently, and he has frequently been towards the top in lap times, if not top, when he hasn't had traffic to deal with. So he's driving an absolute blinder here. His best of 44.6, which is right up there with some of the top guys in this race. So 6th place is well deserved. He's looking to make it 5th if he can get the position from Kate Donnelly. And this is Sam Chapman, who's currently in 2nd, did have the lead for a little while, but has lost it to Tony Baker on the last lap. He's got Adam Proctor behind him. Going to see what happened to Chris Stark here.
Oh.
That's just bad luck.
Oh!
That's bad luck.
That's not good. So, yeah, that'll be looked at poorly there. It's an unsafe rejoin. He's still technically on the track, but he drove out, and yeah, that was not ideal. And unfortunately, Joe Ball's been caught out by that. So, an unfortunate one there for Stark.
Yeah, he was in a disgusting position, wasn't he? Horizontal, basically in the middle of the track. Probably was just enough room on the inside to get past, which meant he should have stayed still. The best thing you can do in that situation, even if you're in a horrible situation where you know everybody's going to want to take the line, you stay still, hope they see you and they move, because it's much easier to get around a stationary object than it is to get around a moving object. Have you ever tried to dodge around a pole or dodge around someone that's walking towards you and you both do that awkward shuffle? That's what we're trying to avoid in the cars, and he just didn't leave any hope for was it Baldwin that hit him once he decided that he was going to move. However, the original incident looked bad, but I don't see what they could have done there. Just such a big overspeed through the corner, both taking the right line, but wouldn't expect such a big overspeed. And once you're committed like that late in the corner, if he tries to touch his brakes or anything to avoid it, he's almost certainly going for a spin. So I think just completely caught unawares. I think the first incident was just bad luck, and really quite difficult to avoid. Second incident, no, we've got to try and avoid that. But I will say the driving standards have been a fair bit better than they were last round, where they really did need to improve from. As we watch Piper trying to go around the outside of Baker, who was in the top 3 for a long while, has had some sort of issue and has found himself back down into what will be 8th place with this move completed by Piper, unless Baker hangs in on the inside, which is brave.
Whoa.
It might have done it. Baker go wide will give him an opportunity to take the run up for the second of the right-handers, and indeed he does. So Piper not able to hold onto the position, and Baker retains 7th. We now cut to Kay Donnelly, who's putting pressure on Adam Lavis. Donnelly having a fantastic drive here. Lavis struggling because he's got detached from the front three, not getting any benefit from slipstream, and he's towing the guys behind him along, which is just giving them a little bit of extra lap time. Means they're going to have higher potential in the car than Adam Lavis ahead of them. So Lavis has got his work out if he wants to hold on to this position for the final 5 minutes of this race.
I'm not too sure exactly what happened at the front there, but Sam Chapman, Proctor, and Lavis. So
really spread out.
Chapman and Proctor are significantly spread out than we saw them before, and my mind is escaping me. But who was it that was up there with them who is no longer there?
It was Baker, who's down in 8th place.
Right. Okay. So he's gone off track earlier on. Yeah. Okay. So that's caused the rift there. And so Proctor's got some work to do to bring it underneath that 1 second mark. Now, the draft is quite extensive. You get it from quite far back, but it's not as effective until you are underneath that 1 second mark. So you'll have to try and get that done in order to have the maximum effectiveness from that draft. As we see Adam Lavis going on the left side. So he'll be on the outside line as they go on towards the back part of the circuit. Okay, Donnelly should have the advantage coming in. Yep, and he'll hold that line. So okay, Donnelly up into P3. Adam Lavis close behind, and Schmidtke is also coming in for the attack, as he is well within the 5/10 mark as well. But it looks like Ken Donnelly went a little wide, so it is the fight is on again. So they come up to that sector 3. And it is insane how close you can race with these cars, but they befall the same fate as all the other open formulas, which is if you touch wheels, it's essentially game over. Unless they're flush. If you get them flush side by side, you can usually get away with it. But if any part of the treads touch, yeah, it's usually game over for one, if not both, of the drivers involved.
Yeah, I think there's some very, very interesting physics behind why that is the case. I don't know it well enough to give even a layman's explanation off the top of my head, but it's very interesting. So anyone who is interested in why you see those spectacular crashes when cars, open wheelers, do touch wheels, I recommend looking it up because it is quite fascinating. Whoa, that was very, very close between Donnelly and Lavis. These two have been battling out for multiple laps now, and they're not willing to give each other any more space than they are legally entitled to under the GSRC's racing rules, which were updated painstakingly for this season. I have to say congratulations to all of the committee members involved. I had a read through them, and I think all the changes were very, very well thought out and very well intentioned. I particularly like that they have a section specific to racing the Formula Vs, because they recognise that racing in Formula Vs is so unlike racing for pretty much any other car on this service, certainly within the GSRC. Very, very different to the Porsche Cup cars that you're going to see a little bit later on tonight as they go around Sonoma, which will be interesting because it's a very, very punishing track if you get it wrong, and I think we're going to see a fair few spins. Either that or I was just very, very bad when I was practicing a little bit earlier in the week. As we watch Joe Baldwin, is this going to be a collision? No, just losing on the outside.
And the car behind. I think that was Michael Ladder. He accidentally followed Joe through that.
Yeah. Already on his way to the scene of an accident when Baldwin he met Baldwin and then decided to have the accident a little bit early. And this is Smitke, who's continued his rapid pace. Now on the back of Donnelly and Lavis, making it a freeway battle for 4th, 5th, and 6th. And the battle at the lead for the lead has really tightened up. Only 0.2 of a second between Chapman and Proctor. It was 1.3, but like you said, Daniel, you called it spot on. From there, you will get a slipstream, and he's used it to good effect to catch back up to Chapman. But right now, we're going to stick with Smitke, Lavis, and Donnelly to see how this turns out. Smitke looking to get the up and under on Lavis. Does a really good job there. I don't know if it's going to be enough because hanging on around the outside here is very, very difficult. No, tucks back beneath Lavis, gets a better run out. Can he get the inside for the long left-hander? I believe that's where you're going to want to be. Looks like he's got it, and all the two of them are going to take themselves out of contention of the fight with Donnelly, or can they hold enough momentum while battling to try and catch them as they go side by side yet again? The lead out front is down below a 10th of a second. It's 300th of a second. You're watching it on your screen. Proctor trying to go around the outside of Chapman, not able to do it there. He'll try and go up the inside at one of these two corners if he can. No room there. Sam Chapman, too wily, a Formula V operator, one of the strongest in the club's history, and using all of that knowledge right now to defend from Proctor, who's the front of that car looks very much like a B. I wonder if that's deliberate, just random musings. And Chapman defending the inside again, but Proctor getting a really good run, setting him up so well to go into the final corner. He's going to have the inside line, is he? Chapman just doing a really good job, making it look like the door was going to open, but then not quite opening it, and Proctor had to back out, but he has got the slipstream. Go around the final corner. We're going to have another side-by-side special. They're going to be neck and neck going across the line. Who's going to have it? It's Chapman. Chapman holds on by 1,000th of a second.
It happened to him again. Are you joking?
And Kay Donnelly holds on to 3rd, Lavis in 4th, and then Smitke not quite able to nick it from Lavis. 300th of a second across the line, the difference there.
Oh my lord, it happened to him again. So I'll see if I can find the... So here they go, coming up to the final corner. There's Sam Chapman, so he's doing well. He's defending that inside line, but the draft works for... So here they come. So that one is a little more defined.
Yes.
That one's a little more defined. You can very clearly see, based on the wheels there, that Sam Chapman hits the line first. But I will try to go back at the end of the Formula V session and see the first race finish. But the wheels were almost identical. It's the nose, I believe. It's the nose of Merritt that just poked out in front.
Yes, in race 1, I believe it was. So that's 2 fantastic races. Can we go 3 for 3 tonight in the Formula Vs and get 3 races all decided by less than 200ths of a second? I'm actually at this rate. I'm going to be putting my money on it, such as the quality of racing at the front of the grid around Brands Hatch on this Thursday night at the GSRC, brought to you by Spreyton non-alcoholic cider. It's been a hot day in certain parts of the country, and I recommend a Spreyton cider to cool you down if you are in one of those areas. This is the results from race 2. Chapman confirmed leader at the end of the race by 6 thousandths of a second over Adam Proctor. Then Cade Donnelly gets a podium, a well-deserved podium there, battling drive the whole way through. Lavis in 4th, Smitke a brilliant recovery to get into 5th spot. Brendan Nealon in 6th and John Merritt in 7th. Then Piper in 8th, Hendo in 9th, recovering from the early clash with Merritt. And Phil King recovering from his spin to get back to 10th. Tony Baker was in the hunt for the podium positions and then dropped at the end of the race. We didn't actually see what happened there, but he ended up in 11th spot next to Wayne Visser in 12th, Chris Stark in 13th, Baldwin in 14th, Latter in 15th, Eaton in 16th, Wellman in 17th, Matson, after starting on pole, finishes in 18th spot, desperately unlucky there, nothing he could have done about it. Davidson in 19th, St. John in 20th. And we have been joined by Joe Baldwin a few minutes before the start of the next race. Joe, how are you going?
Oh, look, I feel like I've had more hits than Elvis tonight. It's been an entertaining night from the seat. So the first race, poor old Matt Schmidtke was worried about his clutch release and forgot to put it in gear. And in the second race, I kept missing gears all the way down to turn 2. When I made life hard for everybody. But hopefully we'll have a better run in this third one.
Yeah, the warm-up's just about to finish. So we'll wish you a good luck in the third race. Hope to see you coming through the field. Can you at least give us some entertainment? Can you promise that?
I can certainly do that. Whether or not it's upside down or right way up, there will definitely be something to look at.
I'll tell you what, if it's upside down, it's going to be spectacular. So I will take it. Probably not what you want, but I will take it.
No worries. Thanks, guys.
See you soon.
Yeah.
That was Joe Trucker Baldwin. He'll be starting for 14th in this race, promising some fireworks, so we'll keep an eye on him and wish him good luck as far as things go. This is confirmation of your grid for the third and final race on the Formula Vs before we move over to the Porsche car. Sam Chapman on pole, Proctor alongside him, then it's Donnelly and Maverick on row 2, Smitke and Nealon on row 3, Merritt and Piper on 4, and Henderson and King at the back of the top 10. Then we have Baker and Visser, Stark and Baldwin, Latter and Heaton, Wellman and Matson, Davidson and St. John at the back of the top 20. There's me rushing because I see the cars getting on the grid, and I did it too quick in the end. Plenty of time.
That's all right. So,
as Captain Holt would say, it's the efficiency that makes things fun.
Yes, true. And unfortunate that
Andrew Bower passed away recently. May he rest in peace.
Yeah, God, I will never forget that character. Captain Holt was one of the greatest characters on TV. And
he was, and that's a really bad start. Sorry to cut you off there. That's a bad start from Proctor. He's already down 3 spots, just getting a bit of look like wheel spin, which is impressive in a Formula V. Sam Chapman getting a beautiful launch. He's already got half a second on Lavis, who's up 2 positions to Lavis, evidently getting a good start as well. Smitke starting well. He's ahead of Proctor. He's looking to go side by side with Merritt, side by side with Proctor. Instead, as he ends up on the defense, Proctor's going to have the inside for the left-hander. Merritt, a brilliant start, up 3 spots, trying to make the most of his poor start last time out, which led to a incident at the hairpin, something that I'm sure he's looking to make amends for in this race, and he's looking to turn 4th into 3rd as he goes alongside Cade Donnelly and gets the move done. But as we know, whenever you make a move into this 4th corner, there's always a fight back at the 5th.
So the field is actually a lot closer than usual after the start here, but have a look at the back. Geez, there's racing everywhere, almost 4 wide, as Matto looks to be the beneficiary of all of this. However, Troy Davidson seems to be holding the position ahead of him, which he does. Oh, there's been an incident there. Who's that? That's Kate Donnelly and Nealon off the track. It hasn't registered as an incident, but they are definitely stationary there. So we'll try and go back and have a look at that when we can. And so everybody started to funnel into their positions now. Tony Baker is trying to go up on the inside of Joe Baldwin. Joe managed to hold.
That's Donnelly on the outside there.
What? So what is happening
Fireworks everywhere we look on this track. That's about a pack of 6 separated by about half a second there. So we're going to see what happened to Cade Donnelly. Right behind.
Oh, he's gone way wide. Yeah. So he managed to catch that.
Nealon going way wide and hitting into Nealon in the background as well. So Donnelly catches that one and then has a spin at the left-hander, the final left-hander on the track. Because they end up on the outside next to the gravel trap. Sam Chapman defending from the lead. Meanwhile, from Adam Lavis. And there you go, there's Kay Donnelly going for a spin. Tell you what, Joe Baldwin promised fireworks. He's had them so far. Up 8 spots. Fantastic from Joe. John Merritt puts himself into second. He's up 5 spots. So he's going to have his work cut out trying to defend from Lavis once they get to the right-hander.
Oh, they get so close with those tyres there. Lavis is going to keep that position on the outside, which is actually going to be the run to the inside on the straight. So here we go. Schmidtke decides to look. He has the freedom to do so because he's the last car in the pack. Sam Chapman is focusing on his race ahead. If these guys keep fighting, Chapman might be able to get a bit of a gap and leave them for dead. So Lavis is trying all his everything in his power in order to have that not happen. Was Merritt falls in line there as well as Proctor. So these front 5 have created a bubble. That's a 2-second gap to Joe Baldwin there in P6. Tony Baker's close by, as well as Stark there in P8. And the fight at the front is between Merritt and Lavis, and everyone else is just waiting for blood in the water. Merritt shoots over to the inside, makes the move count, but now he's got to defend going down the hill towards Druids. And for now, Sam Chapman is probably smiling, seeing the amount of battling that's happening.
Lavis didn't get a good run through that final corner. He's got Proctor on his inside. He's got Schmidtke putting pressure towards the outside. Schmidtke backs out and tries to get a better run through corner 1. Not going to be strong enough. Proctor goes wide, loses himself a bunch of momentum as he goes over the gravel, and Adam Lavis is going to be able to use that to get up the inside into the hairpin. So those 3 return as you were, but Merritt is in second, and now he is breathing down the gearbox of Sam Chapman. If that gearbox had hairs, they'd be standing up on the on edge on that gearbox. But they don't, so that's not happening. It's Sam Chapman ahead of Merritt, ahead of Lavis, apologies, ahead of Proctor, ahead of Schmidtke. And then a big gap back down to Baldwin, who's the best of the rest at the moment, and only 2.4 seconds off that battle pack as he defends from Baker and Stark, with Visor the lead of the 3rd battle pack in 9th spot, which includes Visor, King, Matson, Piper, Davidson. John Merritt just taking the lead from Sam Chapman as we focus on a few of the battles a bit further down, and Proctor going side by side with Lavis. Got the prime position, no, doesn't have the best position for the second right-hander. Race Control handing out one of their first penalties of the night to Brendan Nealon for an unsafe rejoin with Kevin Henderson on lap 1. Yeah, I think that's fair to say, given the speed with which he clattered into Hendo on lap 1. We saw just the aftermath of that as we were watching the incident for Cade Donnelly on the same lap. This is Proctor taking a watching brief on Lavis. Saw that Lavis didn't get the best run through this corner last lap. He'll be hoping for a repeat, as Matson and King look like they've had an incident, as I see the two of them dropping down my timing screens, and we are 5 minutes into this 15-minute race.
So Schmidtke has come into pit lane, which is not something that is characteristic of the Vs. The Vs are not a fuel stop category, so I'm not sure exactly what's happened to him, as John Merritt's just the fastest lap there, 43.833. So yeah, that's an interesting one. Not sure why he had to do that, but maybe he has caught damage somewhere. I don't see any reports of him going off track or any crashes, but in any case, he has dropped back. So here, what was once a pack of 5 has turned into a pack of 4. John Merritt leading them. Sim Chapman is close by. with Adam Lavis and Proctor bringing up the rear. Now, Proctor, bridesmaid never the bride this tonight. Let's see if he can convert this into a win. 15 minutes on the clock. He knows the games to play. He understands the chessboard, as it were. And Sam Chapman will leapfrog and take the lead for now. 6 minutes 15 on the clock, 15 in total. So we are just over, just under the halfway mark, I should say. As Sam Chapman's doing a good job to lead them into Sector 3. Looking at the back, the gaps have started to expand. I can see that Kevin Henderson has had a little bit of an adventure. We'll have a look at that on the replay here. So here he is coming up to the start line. So what has happened? I think he has resigned himself to fate. Yep, there we are. So
I don't blame him for that one. As much as it's nice to see more cars on track to the end of the race, I can understand the frustration after that incident on lap 1 as we watch Merritt actually having to get in the defense as Chapman's back in the lead of this race. Lavis is in 3rd. Proctor's got the best run out of all of his leading cars in 4th with that triple slipstream.
And
looking to go down the inside late. No, Proctor just getting caught. A little bit of indecision there. Didn't know where to make the attack. Lavis placed his car right. Proctor decided, actually, I'm going to take a watching brief for now. We're not even halfway into this one. I've got plenty of time to find a position where I can win by a 100th of a second this time round. As Baldwin and Baker do battle a little bit further back. Baldwin getting back ahead of Baker to get into 5th place. They've got Chris Stark for company as well. And then a nice healthy gap to Wayne Vizzer. So 5th, 6th, and 7th. In a battle of their own in the back of the
that's a heavy defense.
Grass.
That's heavy defense by Tony Baker there. So I'm not sure exactly what happened there. Maybe if I can have a look, let's just check. So Stark moves over and so does Tony. So Stark's had to go onto the grass to avoid that. And I'm not sure what was going through Baker.
I don't think he was alongside. I think he saw the gap and Baker was already moving over. And I think Stark's just reacted a bit late to that. I could be wrong, but that's what it looked like from my angle. I'm not sure they were side by side. I don't think he was pushed as such. But I'm happy to be wrong on that one if we got another view as we go back to the battle at the front with Proctor, Lavis, Chapman and Merritt. They've all just seemed to have calmed down a little bit, decided to put the guns back in their holsters just for a lap or two. Although, as I say that, Proctor almost gets checked up behind Adam Lavis, such as the better run that he got through the final corner. Lavis leaves him a car's width and not much more. To just not comfortable trying to go around the outside at corner 1, coming back for the inside line. Does a nice job. See how he actually left more of a gap between him and Lavis that time around, so he wouldn't have to check up and he could carry that momentum through to the hairpin, and hopefully for his sake can get the move done here, and he does so. Brilliant. Proctor setting that up at the final corner, but Lavis is going to come back at him. Proctor goes on the grass there, and you do not want to be touching the grass with your outside tyres unless you do want to go and do an impression of a merry-go-round. But Proctor holding on to it, and now he's got the inside from Lavis, and they'll go side by side through here. The wheel's so close to touching, and Lavis bails out as wide as he can on the exit. I think that was clever from Lavis. Both of these guys realising that survival is more important than the position right now, and Lavis, in fact, getting the position, maintaining better momentum on the outside of that corner. And now it's up to Proctor to try and find another opportunity to get past.
Yeah, this is an excellent battle between Lavis and Proctor. The only problem is they may be losing the forest for the trees. Oh, Proctor just has a little bit of a disconnect there. No issue. And there we are back on track. So the issue with this is if they fight, the more that they fight, the more that Sam Chapman and John Merritt get away. Now, we're only at the 10-minute mark. We've got 5 minutes to go. The laps are about 1:43 to 1:45. So we have at least 2 laps of racing to go. And so these guys have to be mindful of that. It's all good and well to fight. They want that last podium place, but if they let those 2 get away too far, 3rd will be the only place they'll be fighting for. So maybe Proctor has to think a little bit and use Lavis as a teammate just for now in order to catch back up to those front 2, and then the fighting will occur. But based on the moves that I'm seeing right now, I don't think that's on the menu. It's going to be a drag race to the end.
Yeah, none of these guys are going to bail out of it. I think they both genuinely believe they're faster than the other, and their best pace to close that gap to the cars ahead. So they're both probably thinking, dude, just let me go. We can get into the battle for the lead. I'll drag you along. but both arguing about who's the one that's going to get dragged and who's going to do the dragging is, I imagine, what's going on in their heads. Merritt continues to put pressure on Chapman, but not making a move. I think he knows that second place isn't a bad place to be, although we're yet to actually see anyone from other than first going into the final corner win the race. They always seem to hang on so far. And this is Tony Baker continuing his battle with Chris Stark, which has included cars going onto the grass. Baker been in the wars a bit tonight, a few incidents as well as some fantastic driving running in the podium positions for much of the second race as Merritt and Chapman go side by side, and that's Merritt getting the move done on Chapman with 3.5 minutes to go, which amounts to about 2 laps. So we'll see whether they get how many laps they get in when they reach the box next time round. Whether will it be 2 or 3, could be either at this point. I'm trying to think. If you want to make a move, I think you want to be leading and heading into this section. I think you want to get the move done at the hairpin. I think that's where you want to be on the final lap. If you're in second place, you need to be getting the move done early, because we just haven't seen the cars able to make the move stick at the end. You can make the move into turn 1, that's fine, but it seems to be very hard to make a move at the final corner and get the lead before they get to the checkered flag. Although if you're smart, you'll give it a go a lap or 2 before and just see if you think you can do it, and then put it back in the locker and save it for the final lap.
And there's something to just pay attention here too. So Barney did not wave the white flag, which means we have at least 2 laps of racing to go. And because Sam Chapman and Merritt were fighting at the front, that's allowed Adam Proctor and Adam Lavis to catch back up. So now it is truly a fight at the front with all 4 cars. We have a 7-second gap to Tony Baker at the back, who did overtake Joe Baldwin for that 5th position. And so there is no threat from the back as of right now. If there's an incident, that could change. But John Merritt is keeping the lead here at the front. And so that's the problem with these cars. The draft is so strong. If you fight, you invite the people from the back to catch up time, and then as soon as they get underneath that 1 second, they're just sucked up like a mega vacuum right up to the back of your car. So Lavis is the only one that's at a slight disadvantage. He's outside what we call the red window within those 5 tenths. But he will catch up surely because Proctor's going to want to make a move and so on and so forth, and they'll fight and he'll be able to catch back up with no issue. Sam Chapman's best choice now is to just focus on his lines. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a draft to play from. He'll just have to play the defensive line, but he has to make a very smart decision and a wise decision as to where he makes those defenses, because we've seen you defend into one corner a certain way, you sacrifice speed into another. And John Merritt, of all people, is someone who's going to play on those mistakes. So as we have at least 1 more to go, I believe we will see the white flag this time by Adam Proctor trying to move onto the outside to see if he can make a move on John Merritt. It does not work. Adam Lavis is now into that red window. So for the last time by, as we see that white flag wave, am I correct? The camera angle was not ideal for me here, but we will see. Yes, the white flag is waving, so 1 lap to go, and it is a true 4-car fight as they go 3 wide down the hill towards Druids. It's anyone's game for now.
3 wide, how about 4 wide? Proctor trying to desperately to get involved in this. Sam Chapman not willing to give up the lead this late in the race, tries to hold off from John Merritt, not able to do so, immediately goes onto the attack. Proctor sort of just trying to avoid Chapman there, trying to figure out where Chapman was going to go so he could place his car. Lavis at the back of this group, knowing that he's got bucket loads of pace to try and do something with, but it's just so hard when you've got 3 cars all moving ahead of you and you're trying to predict the movements of 3 cars and then figure out ahead of time where to put yours. It's very, very difficult to make that many positions in 1 lap. Chapman knows he's only got 1 move to make. Proctor knows he's got 2. He's been very, very close on 2 occasions already. He does not want to go a 3rd. He does not want to be a 1/10 of a second away from 3 victories tonight, but that is a fate that could very well befall him. Chapman, a beautiful run around the outside, almost gets a car length ahead of Merritt. It's far enough ahead that he's going to try and hang on around the outside. Goes quite wide there. Don't know if he managed to maintain his momentum. No, not maintaining it. And in fact, he's going to give it the position to Proctor. Proctor's on the inside, going into the blind. Sam Chapman tries to hold on around the outside, goes into the grass, and that's him out of the battle. I believe he filters into 3rd, but losing that much momentum, it's going to be hard for him to get involved with Proctor Merritt. So it's Proctor yet again in 2nd position, Merritt in 1st spot. We've seen this movie twice already. Both times the lead car was able to hold on. Will he this time? Merritt getting a great run at the final corner. Proctor's in the slipstream. He's not going to be close enough, or is he? They're coming towards the line. Proctor's going to sit behind him. It's going to be Merritt, Proctor, Chapman, and Lavis.
Oh, it was close, but the mistake was there from Chapman when it just too wide going around that right-hand turn, ended up on the grass, and that put him out of the contention. Still managed to hold on as Daniel Piper there just behind Troy Davidson for P9. And Sam Chapman did hold on for P3. Michael Ladder does the same, goes into the... Oh, see, and he's just held it. Just keep the boot in, why not? As, someone's had a spin there.
I believe there was a late incident between Baker certainly having a late incident somewhere, or pitting actually. I've got him as pitted on my timing screen because he has vacated that battle for 5th spot, and Baldwin getting 5th place in the end ahead of Wayne Visser. So a couple of cars going missing in that battle towards the end of the race. Not sure what the story is there. We'll see if any of those drivers join us and we're able to get answers for you, or if we're able to find some footage of what occurred. So to run you through the standings as far as I'm aware of them, it is Merritt, then Proctor, Chapman, then Lavis, Baldwin, then Visor, Smitke and Davidson, Piper and Donnelly, King and Matson, St. John and Stark, Ladder and Wellman, Heaton and Baker, Neal and Howard and Henderson and early retirement of Hooper and somebody else, Dean Logsdale, not taking the start of this third and final race in the Formula Bs. And as sad as I am to announce that is the end of our Formula B racing for tonight, I am pleased to say that we still have the Porsche Cup coming on a little bit later. So you are confirmation of those final standings and just how close it was to the top 4. Less than a second covering the podium positions and Adam Lavis. And one saving guess for Proctor is he was just over a tenth of a second away from 3 wins tonight instead of just under in the end. Oh.
That was...
Go ahead.
That was an intense 3 races. And I mean, I feel for Adam Proctor something fierce. That's P2 3 times in a row. 2 of them was by a nose, and in the third one, unfortunately, couldn't get close enough to John Merritt on that final corner in order to try and attempt that type of move again. But I would be proud if I was him. That is some insane driving. He played it well. He stayed back for most of the race, didn't try and push too quick up the front because he knew that as you get close to the race, it comes to you. And so an amazing drive from him. But I must say, I do feel bad. I was hoping he'd get a win in this last one. But in any case, well done to everyone. I'm curious to see if we'll get any drivers. We do. Sam Chapman has joined us in the bus. Sam, give us your thoughts, mate. How did that go?
Yeah, that went pretty well. That was really good fun around here. Much better than the GT4s did last night. So, people kept it. Seems like it was relatively clean compared to last week as well, which was nice. But we're just playing it relatively carefully tonight, and it worked out well.
Yeah, it did. Was there a moment where you knew you'd lost the victory in that third and final race? You were holding on for so long, looked like you had the defense sorted, and then just got a little bit out of shape heading into the 2 right-handers.
Yeah, I just it's disappointing. I just touched that gravel and then that momentum stopped. It was I thought I might have it there, but no. Once they got ahead, and especially once I was on the grass, it was game set match really on that, unless they really screwed up. So but brilliant battle with those two. They raced really well. It was actually really good racing up front all night. So really enjoyed it. But I think by that second to last corner, I knew it was game set match.
Yeah, of course, looking to make amends after not being able to make appearance in round 2. Can you just confirm that was a penalty and not something else?
Yes, that was because I hit too many license points because they were restricted to an extra -5 for the GT4. So yes, that was a penalty. So that's wiped. I've got my little returning driver's badge on the off the back of the car. But I might be a bit out of practice. But yeah, it's all right. It looks like last week I might have avoided some carnage anyway.
Yeah, there was plenty of carnage last week, certainly. Driving standings a bit better tonight, but still plenty of carnage to keep everybody entertained. I'm sure it will continue to calm down as we go through the season. You've been in the championship battle a few seasons now. Do you still think you can get involved after missing that second race, or are there any drivers you think are probably going to prove too strong with that advantage that they've already got?
Oh, it's going to be pretty difficult because you can't use a drop round either. So you're effectively running off 7 rounds with everyone else's 8. So, yeah, I'd say it's probably unlikely. But, we'll see. Weirder things have happened. We'll give it a red hot crack, but it will need to be very consistent for the rest of the season.
Yeah, weirder things certainly have happened in the last week. And if you don't know what I'm referring to, probably get your head out from behind whatever boulder it is under. Thanks very much for joining us, Sam Chapman. We'll head over and have a chat to our second driver of the night, John Merritt. Merritt, the winner of that third and final race. You must have been pretty happy when you saw Chapman going wide.
Yeah, I thought he might get some momentum on the outside, but that was really some epic racing, as Adam Proctor put it, in that last race. So thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was absolutely epic to watch from here. Before we return to talking a bit more about that final race, can you just talk us through that instant in race 2 at the hairpin?
Yeah, I don't think you can really apportion any blame. I sort of there was enough room there, and I didn't sort of push wide at all. It just maybe Hendo moved slightly, but we had a slight wheel touch, and the rest was history, sadly.
One of those where the result of the touch was much bigger than the size of the touch itself.
Well, I think given Joe was on the outside, Hendo had nowhere to go, and it's just a shame. It sort of probably ruined 3 races, unfortunately, and I think I picked up a little bit of damage, so the car was very slow from there on.
Yeah, look, I actually went and had a look at it, guys, and there was definitely a bit of netcode in there. Just between you and Hendo, there was a bit of netcode which actually looked like it sucked you into the side of him, and then you guys came out and got me as well. So I didn't realise there was 2 on the inside, or else I would have given a bit extra room. But yeah, that was just one of those unlucky ones, I think, John.
Yeah, just very
unfortunate
unlucky incident. Yeah. I think 8 out of 10 you'd just sort of continue on, and it was the most minor wheel touch, but unfortunate.
Yeah, I think that's one of the worst things about the netcode, right? It not only can cause incidents where there might not have been one, but it also tends to increase the severity of those incidents when netcode is involved. It always seems to be big and never seems to be just a minor touch.
Yeah, sadly, as they say, when you stop going for the gap, you got to stop racing, and unfortunately the computer wins with netcode occasionally.
It certainly doesn't like to play that joker often on this platform, although it's still better than just about anything else out there. But we'll return to happier waters before we go on to Joe Baldwin, who promised us fireworks and delivered, going up 9 spots into 5th in round 3. And then we've also just been joined by Chris Starks. We'll get to them soon. Merritt, looking ahead, how confident are you of featuring in that title battle, and is there any drivers that you've picked out as your main rivals already?
Well, I don't know, as Sam was saying. Have we got drop rounds, Sam?
Yeah, 2 drop rounds still.
2, yep.
Yeah, I missed last week. I was overseas, so just depending on work commitments, I'll always race if I'm around on a Thursday. Love the V's, but hopefully give it a crack. If we can just miss the 2 rounds, we'll be somewhere thereabouts, hopefully, Liam.
Yeah, excellent. Lovely to have you in the V's. Always good to see your name in any of the GSRC series, but particularly nice to see some of the bigger names in the V's. Of course, doing very well in the Race of Champions before the season started as well. So yeah, hopefully we'll see you out in as many cars as we can for the rest of the year.
Yeah, mate, whenever I can make it, I will. I think I just got off 30 hours of travel and made it tonight, so I'll always try.
That's some commitment right there from John Merritt, and getting a well-deserved victory after his 30 hours of travel. And we'll now head over to Joe Trucker Baldwin, who we heard briefly from in between races 2 and 3, so keen is he to get into the box whenever he can. He promised us fireworks, and he went ahead and delivered, up from 14th into 5th. Fair to say you weren't expecting that before the race started?
Look, to be honest, I actually was. I actually qualified better than I was expecting, and had the car in front in race 1. I hit off the start, had a really good jump, and he didn't go, and I clipped him and had damage race 1. fought back up. Race 2, I think I had that incident with John and Kev, which was pretty unfortunate. Race 3, I was expecting to sort of get up there, but I had a great race there with Tony and Starkey, but unfortunately, I knew we were coming to the white flag and we were racing for sheep stations. It was. I think there was a little touch with Tony of one of the kinks, but he got going without any damage and never lost any positions. But unfortunately, the rear end got away from him, and poor old hapless Starkey there got caught in the crossfire with that one, and they both ended their night facing the wrong way, which was it was a bugger of a way to end the race, because I was having a lot of fun. So hopefully I can get home. It's the first Thursday I've been home early all season, so I thought I'd jump in and have a run, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So we hopefully we can get home and do a few more, but not in any hunt for championships, just in the hunt for a bit of fun.
Oh, you'll find fun plenty in the Formula Vs. It's
in the Vs every time. Yeah,
you're going to get in the Vs. Such a different form of racing as well. How comfortable are you with that, such close pack racing? Is it something you feel confident in, or is it something that it gets?
Probably depends on the guys you're racing around. I was pretty confidently racing with Starkey and Tony. I've done a lot of racing with them guys, and and Sam, he races good in the Vs as well. Pretty much all the guys that are up the front in here, there's a lot of new, something that, even we've discussed with the committee, we've had a big influx of new drivers, probably since early mid-December. It's been a good, just sort of a constant influx of fresh drivers. So there's a lot of new faces in the club at the moment, trying to feel out some of them guys. Some of them are, and you get driving styles. Some guys are really fast and super aggressive and make mistakes, and other guys are fairly unassuming. They just get on with the job and do really well. So there's a lot of new faces there to try and learn how you can race with different guys and when to push and when not to push. And but it was a couple of the old hands in that race which made it fun.
Yeah, excellent. So we'll see you out in the Formula Vs again throughout the season?
If I get home from work early enough, been over on the West Coast, and if I get home early on a Thursday, mate, I will definitely be here.
Absolutely wonderful to hear that. Hopefully you can find a way to get away from work early, just a little bit of a cough, got to go home very early or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anytime you can find a way to get home, it'd be brilliant to have you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Liam.
Thank you, Joe, for joining us. Last but not least, we'll head on over and have a talk to Chris Stark. I think you ended up in every position on the grid at some point throughout the 3 races tonight. A lot of great racing from yourself and the cars around you, and a couple of incidents as well. Do you want to just talk us through your 3 races tonight?
Started with a very, very bad qualifying. I was really fast in practice, but just couldn't convert to a qualifying lap. So here's what it is. I started down the back. Race 1 was sort of all right. Race 2, I wound up with Joe and Michael Latter at one point. Then Joe lost it going up the hill, and then Michael Latter ran into him, so I sort of found myself by myself. And then race 3 was really good with Tony and Joe. I'm not sure what happened with Tony going down the hill on lap 2. Sort of forced me off the track, and whether he knew that happened or whether it was netcode, because Tony's a great driver and a really nice guy to boot, so I'm sure I'll catch up with him at some point. We're friends on Facebook, so we'll have a conversation at some point. And then, he lost it coming out of that second last turn, and I had nowhere to go. It just is what it is. So I managed to limp back to pits. He was already there. He must have towed. I fixed it and went back out and made up two spots. That's the best I could do tonight.
Yeah, but tell me how you at least had fun doing it.
Oh, yeah, I loved it. That battle with Tony and Joe was really good. And like Joe said, when you know the guys around you, it's much easier. They're predictable. You know what they're going to do. You know what they're capable of. So you're more inclined to stick your nose in because you know they're not going to chop it off. And we have had a lot of new drivers, and no knock on to them, but there's been a lot of incidents, a lot of aggressive, silly things that you can't do in officials, that seem to be leaking into the club. The committee's all over it. We're looking at it, and that's why the penalties got increased. And as you know, I take a lot of race photos afterwards, so I go through a lot of the replays and catch things that race control may have missed, and I'll talk to the committee about it, and we'll quietly have a word to that person rather than publicly embarrass them and not make them want to be part of the club. Just say, hey man, that was a bit silly, how about clean that up?
Yeah, at the end of the day, you give everyone the benefit of the doubt that nothing's deliberate. At worst, it's ill-judged. And, you know, you can't expect drivers to come in and understand the standards that we try to adhere to straight away, even if they do read all of the documents. You have to see it in action for a while, and that's where the race stewarding is so important, because it's not really for the drivers that are here week in, week out, who know the rules, who can sort of self-judge, or you know, the ones that know each other, so you know they're just going to talk and be like, hey, I don't think that was quite hard, and they can have that conversation. It's for the new drivers, right? So they come in and they reach the same standard a lot quicker than would occur if you didn't have race control. That's where they really become worth it, and that's the special thing about running in a league compared to running in the officials.
Yeah, you also have to add to that, everyone's equipment's different, like the internet connections
Yes.
are different, so you can introduce a modicum of netcode, like when you're in where Joe is and my nephew in Wait a While, the good old state of Wait a While, you know, they're a few milliseconds behind us in ping. I've got a gigabit connection, so my screen is always going to be different to somebody else's in how the packets are being received. So what I see is not necessarily what Tony or Joe will see, and Tony's just sent me a couple of giffies, so he must be listening to the broadcast.
Yeah, exactly. And like, you know, my own story, when I first got iRacing, I was racing with a Logitech G25 that I'd had for years and years and years, attached to a desk. The pedals were moving, and I had a 21-inch monitor, so I had zero field of view.
Yeah, I had.
Well.
Remember those ones that were one piece, the black steering wheel with the gear stick attached to it?
Yes.
And I had a CRT monitor. That, you know, I started 13 years ago. So I've upgraded now. I've got the triples and the Fanatec gear, but I won my first race in a Mazda at Laguna Seca with that.
You can race pretty quick with it, particularly when you know the track. It's once you get into the wheel to wheel, like particularly the Formula V's is probably one of the cars you feel it the most when you don't have the field of view, because it's so often side by side with people. You either need VR to be able to look side by side, or triples, or at least a really wide single monitor to have any hope. Because if you can't see your mirrors.
Yeah, I'll agree with you there. I've got a VR and in open wheel, it's fantastic, but it just gets so hot. So I'm looking at one of those Pimax crystals that Josh Zuno runs. A bit pricey, but a couple of shits of overtime we able to cover it. And my reflexes, I'm 52, you know, I've got 9 grandchildren. My reflexes aren't like some of these young blokes or John Merritt's longevity.
Oh, 9 grandchildren. That's an expensive Christmas.
Well, my oldest one, she's I built her own rig out of the. You know, ever seen that pipe one on the internet made out of pipes from Bunning?
Mm-hmm. Oh yes, yeah.
I made her one of those. She's got my old G27. She loves it.
Oh, excellent. Got to get him started. How old is she?
11.
I was gonna say, got to get started young, and then I realised I don't know how old they might be. They could be older. Yeah, so that's excellent. Hopefully we'll see her in the GSRC in a few years' time.
Yeah, my nephew's in here and he kicks my butt every night. Young Jaden Green, he's part of the club and he is so much faster than me. I don't know how he does it.
Those reaction times you were talking about.
Yeah, that's it. All right, boys, I'll let you go. Move on to the Porsche Cup.
We certainly will. Thank you very much for joining us.
Have a good night, guys.
So we will just cut over for a small break as we push on over to the Porsche Cup Series racing at Sonoma Cup Historic. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in a moment.
Welcome back, everyone. Hope you didn't miss us while we were gone. We've taken out time to travel around the world to California to join you again at Sonoma Raceway, where our Porsche Cup cars have been hard at work doing their qualifying laps, and I'll tell you what, we've got some quality in the grid here tonight. Denchi currently in third place in qualifying, 2 Haynes ahead of him, Todd and Adam Hayne. We've got Jared Knight, we've got Falconer and Serrano, the stars of round 2. We've got Sebastian Spicer absolutely killing it in 6th place. We've got Marshall Stanley, Fitzpatrick Wilson. We have got a smorgasbord of some of the best racing talent, I dare say, not just in Australia but in the world, because I have been on this track practicing. I was intending to race tonight before commentary got in the way, but I can tell you these guys are faster than anybody else on Garage 61 from the times I was looking at. There was not a time in the 11s on Garage 61 when I looked at it earlier this week. We have got 7 drivers in the 1 minute 11s. That is how fast these guys are beating all of the benchmarks, and of course they're being helped by perfect conditions. 23 degrees track temperature, 22 degrees air temperature, so don't expect that track temperature to vary throughout the race. A fairly small track, that's why the lap time's down in the 1 minute 11s, but very, very technical, and it's a track where you have to engage with risk if you're going to go fast around here. It's not a track. It's a track that has been on racing for a while now. It's a track that is known to American motorsports fans, not a track well known to the rest of the world. It looks like some tarmac put in the middle of the desert. It's essentially what it is, but it is a very, very challenging technical track. Just look at that track map. It does not look simple, and I can guarantee you it is not, and there's plenty of elevation change to make a lot of these corners even more interesting than it otherwise would be. We'll attempt to bring you the grid. There we go, second try, it works. We've got Todd Hayne on pole with a 1 minute 11.393. Adam Hayne alongside him. Second row is Matty Dench and Jared Knight. 0.4 of a second between them at pole, such as the speed of Todd Hayne. Falconer for Vermillion in 5th, with Spicer alongside him in 6th. Then it's Tal Serrano, one of the stars of the race last round, and Gordon Marshall alongside him. Then it is Snadden and Blake Fitzpatrick taking pole position and 10th space overall. Paul Wilson in 11th, Chuck Van Wong in 12th, second position for the open split. Of course, what I mentioned before, Blake Fitzpatrick, pole for the open split. Ryan Preston in 13th and 3rd position for open. Then it's Trent Allen, Jonathan Hooper, Mitchell Allison, Andrew Neal, Adam Lavis, straight from the V's into the Porsche Cup. David Christian and Joe Baldwin, another, making the journey from the V's to the Porsche. Then we've got Tristan Coach and Tony Baker, followed by perhaps Joshua Thomas and Michael Ladder at the back, although they may not have taken the grid as they did not show up on that screen. And here we go, the lights are on and they are away for Sprint Race 1. 3 races in the Porsche Cup tonight. First, a 13-minute dash from checkered flag to checkered flag. Oh, there's contact straight away. Jared Knight and Matty Dench getting involved, and Jared Knight being spat out onto the dirt. So that's one of the fastest drivers already out of this race. Bit of a gap from the top 4 down to Tal Serrano in the yellow and green livery. He's under pressure from Sean Spicer. Very easy for cars to go wide at the top of that hill. Watch for that as this race unfolds. Everyone's going to run over that curb. It's just a little bit faster. Just got to be careful not to catch the wall on the inside. Using all the track and a little bit more. Carrying as much speed as they can through there. Getting up onto the outside curve because you don't need any... you can easily make that next left-hander. Then they're going to straight line that a little bit, get off the throttle, get on the throttle as early as they can, and just barely maintain their car on the inside of that dirt before they get on the brakes a little bit, down 1 gear into 4th, clip that curb if you feel like it. It's kind of a mixture of styles there. You can hit the curb, you cannot. It's not a big whoop. If you get it just right, you can actually hook the tyres just to the inside of that curve, and it can give you a little bit more rotation. You're going to see a few different lines through there as well. A lot of cars will be turning it early. Some will prefer to hit the apex at 2/3 and really cut back and try and get on the throttle early, particularly if they're a bit worried about their rear tyres and not wanting to be steering and accelerating at the same time. The more confident drivers will not care. This is Tal Serrano. He's putting a lot of pressure on Todd Hayne, who started in 2nd, is already down to 4th. Not a great start for Todd Hayne. Tal Serrano, one of the podium position cars. He's finished 2nd last time out, looking to do the double here tonight, and we can see a replay of that incident at the start between Jared Knight and Matty Dench. Hard to call that. Hard to call that. I think it's just one of those things that happened in turn 1. We can see Chuk Fung Wong. I think that'll be Wilson alongside him. Just a little bit too ambitious, perhaps, not having taken that side by side with a car before and just getting sideways. Very, very easy to do. Now we can see Joshua Thomas also losing his vehicle.
Jeez, that thing skated.
Yeah, it really did.
He held the brakes, but that thing did not want to stop. So
now we're just... Go ahead.
Sorry, yeah, so at Sonoma, lap 2 of 13, and after all those crashes have resolved, we've started to see the gap. I would have thought people were closer together, but they've all gone into that yellow window there, except for Matthew Dench in P2, right behind Adam Hayne in the fight for the lead. And it looks like Ben Faulkner has just managed to get inside that gap as well. That's Todd Hayne with the fastest lap so far, 1:12.8 in the Porsche. And just based on the track layout alone and what you've seen in the first couple of laps, strap in, because I have a feeling the second race is going to kick off quite intensely. Some of these guys would have obviously put some serious practice into trying to get some fast lap times tonight, but for some others, maybe it's their first time. And so once they get that ring rust from this track, because it's not one that people visit quite often, it's very famous in the NASCAR circles, but not so much in other places other than the very niche American sports car leagues. I think once people have that confidence, we're going to see some way harder racing. But for now, it is still fairly close at the front with Adam Hayne leading the pack.
Yeah, you can see immediately the difference in speed between the race setups and the qualifying setups in qualifying. There are a lot of drivers in the 1 minute 11s and a bunch more in 12s and 13s, whereas the bulk in the field on lap 2 here, 1 minute 14s, only a few of the elite drivers in 13s and very elite in the 1 minute 12s, though the lap times improving a little bit this time around as the tyres warm up, as the cars get a little bit more space on the track, but still a big gap between those top 8 and the rest of the field. The top 8 really the only cars comfortably within the 1 minute 13s. A couple of others just dipping their wheels in there, but most in the 1 minute 14s or indeed the 15s towards the back of the field. So it could be a slight difference in conditions, but most likely a difference just in the fuel loads and just the setup you need. Over one lap you can afford a car that might buck you off, particularly in iRacing, because you just reset and go again. You cannot afford to deal with that danger around here lap after lap. So the setups will be a little bit more stable, and they've got a bit of fuel on board, and that's leading to a difference of about a second from their qualifying times. Oh, I tell you what, they are indeed pushing hard.
So hard, that's what you want to see.
You can do that pretty safely. When I was practicing, I did that a heap of times, and you just learn that actually, if you get going wide, you just keep the throttle in unless you're going really, really wide, because the two wheels on the dirt doesn't hurt you there other than to get the 1X. And if you get enough 1Xs, you will get a penalty. But with the shorter races, because we are sprint racing here tonight, these drivers should get away with it. Another place you're going to see cars running wide is at the top of the hill. It is blind and very, very hard to judge, particularly if you don't quite get to the apex. You feel like you're waiting an eternity to get back on the throttle, or indeed braking over the top of the hill just to try and get the car rotated a little bit more if you've got it badly wrong.
The amount of curve that these guys can take through that corner there is insane. The car completely lifts up. We see those tyres on the right side detach from the racing surface, but there's enough faith in the car that they just let it land and then take off. And they managed to do it with speed as well. Todd Hayne here, 0.4 behind Ben Faulkner. Matthew Dench is the closest of the front runners at the moment, but Adam Hayne is doing an insane job at the front of this motor race. 1:12.27, the fastest lap was set by him last time by. I'm curious to see whether or not that goes down again once they cross the line coming up here. Lap 5 of 13, we are just under halfway. And thus far, other than the initial crashes that we saw, it has been a relatively clean race.
Yeah, it has a few drivers getting caught out by the cold tyres on lap 1. Definitely you feel that around this track in this car. So much of it is dependent on the rear wheels, and when you haven't got the heat in them, they're just a little bit deadly. Basically for the first lap, at lap 2 you can start pushing, and then by lap 3 you're feeling confident in the car. Yeah, again, at least that was My experience with the setup that I was using, different setups will impact the heating of the tyres at the expense of tyre wear later in the race. And of course, given it's sprint racing, you're not really going to care about the tyre wear. You're going to want them to be like nice and quickly. Only 13 laps, we're already on lap 6, so halfway through this motor race. Adam Hayne continues to hold on for Matty Dench, but they are dropping Ben Faulkner, just not able to live with the pace. A 1 minute 12.2 for Hayne, a 12.3 for Dench, and a 12.8 for Faulkner. So definitely the slowest of this top three. In fact, he's under pressure now from Todd Hayne and Tal Sereno, which you can see on your screen. Todd Hayne, the car. We are tracking right now and just carrying so much more speed through that hairpin. You saw Faulkner, the rear of the car, just trying to step out as he got onto the throttle. Something not quite right there, just car not quite behaving how he would want it to.
So Sonoma is showcasing a characteristic of this car that you generally don't see at many racetracks, maybe apart from Sebring, and that is, if you pay close attention when we go to the wider shots, the chassis is moving about like crazy. There's so much body roll that's happening. They're taking vicious curves. Usually on that one, the right side of the car's up, but Ben Faulkner decided to take a little bit less, so it's a little more stable going through there. But the cars are just moving so much throughout the entirety of this track, and the skill that's on display in order to keep these cars in a straight line is amazing to behold, honestly. Just watching them coming through this sector. Now you'll see Ben Faulkner will take this left-hander here, and if he keeps this flat, just look at the car as it squirrels. Here we go. Just goes out wide. Look at that. No fear. Just keeps it back on. It's incredible. Oh, the inside!
Oh, from Todd Hayne, going to be on the outside, but this corner is easy flat. And then you're going to see whoever's got more balls, basically, going through turn 1, because this is flat for as long as you dare before you get on the brakes to help yourself get turned in. Get onto that curb so you've got a nice optimal line through this corner, because you're going over the crest of the hill. The back of the car will get light. It's a really tricky corner to get right. You want to be coming out wide. If you're coming out narrow, you're just going to wash out over that curb. So you saw Faulkner having to correct as he entered this hairpin. That's why he had no speed. Todd Hayne saw his opportunity, and actually a little bit of door banging between Hayne and Faulkner, but these two are very experienced. They won't mind a little bit of door banging. No, that's a thing that's going to happen when you're in a tin top, but they are letting Hayne and Denchi get away from them, and I'll be interested to see if Todd Hayne can get ahead of Faulkner, what pace he can have. After all, he did start on that front row, and he'll be kicking himself because Faulkner at the moment does not seem to have the pace to go with the top two, and it is really hurting Todd Hayne in the first race tonight.
So it's a little bit of a bubble. I've used that word a lot tonight, but I'll keep doing so. It's a little bit of a bubble that's forming here at the front. Matthew Dench and Adam Hayne in their own little race, 2.3 seconds back to Ben Faulkner in P3 and Todd Hayne in P4, and then just a slight gap, 0.5 to Teo Sereno. So he's still in that fight for that third place. We're 9 of 13 on the laps. 9 minutes 55 into the session. Adam Haney's doing an exceptional job at the front, but I'm curious if maybe Matthew Dench is just tempering himself a little bit. I don't think they have to worry about fuel, at least not on the first one. So I think this is a sprint to the end. No fuel stop. So I wonder if Matthew Dench is just biding his time, maybe just saving behind and waiting to pounce, analysing the racer ahead. That's what those great drivers do. They watch the person in front. Where do they brake? How do they take the line? Where are they weakest? And then they formulate a way in order to exploit those flaws to make the pass. So I'm curious to see if that's what Matthew Dench is doing, or is Adam Hayne truly pushing hard enough that Matthew Dench is having a hard time getting the opportunity to pass? Time will tell. As for Todd Hayne and Ben Faulkner, these two are racing an exceptional race as well. And look at Teo Sereno. He's managed to bring it back down into that red window. So it's 2 cars at the front fighting for the lead, and it's 3 cars fighting for third close behind. And there's a couple of battles as well forming at the back end, but otherwise the gaps have formed. So as this comes to an end for this race 1, I'm just, not only am I excited to see how this one ends, but I am more excited for race 2 when we have pit strategies involved.
Yeah, that's a really good shout out there. I also want to give a shout out to Dane Snadden. Effectively, you've got that lead group of 7. Let's just call them the aliens, because that's what they are. Adam Hayne down to Gordon Marshall. But then you got Dane Snadden doing a really good job of basically giving himself clean air. He's well ahead of Trent Allen behind him, 6.6 seconds. He's only 4.4 seconds off the Aliens, driving an absolutely stellar race. Definitely doesn't have the pace of the cars ahead of him. There is no shame of that. His ultimate times are just a good half second slower, but he's also pretty much a half second faster than anyone else behind him. So he's, other than Jared Knight, who was in that lead, who would be in that other league group had he not had his instance. So Dane Snadden, really the class of the field of the near mortals. And no shame for him not being able to keep up with the 7 ahead. Maybe he can learn a few things in the second race, might be able to get a bit closer. But yeah, just wanted to shout him out because I think he's having a stellar stellar evening so far. We're about to see what's happened to Joshua Thomas, who's now in 20th. Yeah, just getting the braking wrong there, going wide and being very, very cautious with his rejoin. Or has he retired? He may have retired and decided that I'll try my luck in race 2 because race 1's not really gone my way. And race 1 rapidly coming to a close here. Only a couple of laps remaining after this one. Adam Hayne still has the lead of Denchi, not able to shake him. Faulkner has closed in a little bit, the gap under 2 seconds, but he's going to struggle to close that down fully for the end of the race, particularly with Hayne and Serrano trying to ruin his race and take that podium from Ben over the next 2 laps. And we're now watching Jared Knight. He's been fighting a rear guard. I say rear guard, that's not quite right. He's been finding some action at the rear of the field after his early spin put towards the back, and in just recovering from that, he's up into 13th. He's currently behind Jonathan Hooper, and it's not easy to get another thing done on here, but he's showing us how to do it with a bold move down the inside. Basically forces Hooper to give him some space. They're going to go side by side through here. It's not quite flat through this corner, and he gets through. We're flat now, though.
What a move. He saw the early break there from Jonathan Hooper, decided to pounce and made it work. There was slight door banging, a little bit of paint exchanged, but no harm, no foul. As they say, rubbing is racing. And Jared Knight up in a P12. He should be proud of that, but there is a significant gap to him and Preston there in P11. So with 1 lap remaining, he'll have to work extra hard to try and make that up.
Yeah, he really will, but we know Jared Knight's got bucketfuls of pace. He should be in this battle for the lead. If not in that battle, at least in that battle with Faulkner, Hayne and Serrano for the podium positions, but instead just getting it wrong on turn 1, going for a slightly ambitious move. I say getting it wrong, that's really harsh. Just an unfortunate casualty in the normal sort of lap 1 shenanigans where everyone's trying to make moves and no one's quite sure where every part around them is. But hopefully we can cover in race 2. We are now on board with Matty Dent watching from his rear right wheel as he tries desperately to get the victory from Adam Hayne. He's going to have only 1 more lap to do it. If he said earlier he might be watching, just taking a brief, seeing where Adam Hayne's quick, trying to pick where he might be able to make a move. Well, if he's made a decision, now's the time to show us, because he's not going to get an opportunity as they come to the flag for the penultimate time in race 1. It's Hayne, followed by Dench behind them. It's Faulkner, followed by Hayne Serrano. Faulkner actually getting himself a few tenths of a second over Hayne, so he may be safe in a final podium position, barring a mistake. And Dench getting a really good run there. Nowhere to use it. He's going to have to save that up, try and get a better run out of this corner. Perhaps he can make a move into that 90-degree right at the bottom of the hill. No. Hayne getting a better run. So next up, there's no clear opportunity. Next opportunity is probably going to be the hairpin. It's all going to come down to that penultimate corner.
Yeah, handful of turns remaining here. Adam Hayne, an exemplary showing thus far, and it looks like no signs of stopping it now. Matthew Dench, the time is running out, and I can't imagine he'd be displeased with a P2, but we know what racists are like. They want that P1. They want that gold trophy. But it looks like Adam Hayne might just have the best of him. They're coming up to the Sonoma hairpin now, and judging by how far back that Porsche is, oh, you can see Matt Dench tried to brake as late as possible, but even so, Adam Hayne has managed to hold on, and as they come round the final corner, it is Adam Hayne who will take the win here for race 1. Matthew Dench in P2, and Ben Faulkner holds out for the last place in the podium.
Yeah, not much overtaking throughout that race, certainly not in the top 10, but fascinating nonetheless, seeing his drivers trying to fit each other out and try to figure out how to get through. In the end, the positions are relatively static as we watch Blake Fitzpatrick, who's looking to get the victory in the open split. I believe. Yes, that is certainly a yellow car. So he'll take the victory in the open
that'll
split
be-
ahead of Jonathan Hooper and Adam Lavis.
That'll be Preston, is it not?
He's red on my...
Oh, okay. Okay. Maybe
Oh, no,
there's
there's yellow there.
Yeah, there's
Mine might not be
yeah.
up to date.
So yeah, so Ryan Preston seems to be the one that took the open split
Obvious.
there. So we just wait for Joe Baldwin at the back. No, Joe Baldwin's got into the pit. So that is the race done and dusted. There are.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to point out there are the results for the race one there as the drivers just go out for a warm-up. So Adam Hayne will take the win and Matthew Dench 0.232 behind. Amazing race from those two at the front. And Ben Faulkner as well holding on to P3 with Todd Hayne and Taya Sereno very close by. Sebastian Spicer, Gordon Marshall, Dane Snadden, Trent Allen and Jared Knight take out the top 10. It's very interesting to see that the top 10 are a clear elite split. Usually we have some mixings there, but ever the case, it was elites only this time by Ryan Preston, Blake Fitzpatrick, Jonathan Hooper, Adam Lavis, David Christensen, and Chuck Fung Wong take up the next 6 positions on the grid. Andrew Neal, who is currently in the non-classified, comes across in P17. Tristan Koch there in P18. Mitchell Allison, another non-classified, in P19. And Paul Wilson in P20. Joshua Thomas, Joe Ball, Michael Latta, and Tony Baker make up the rest of the grid. So, got a couple of minutes here while the cars go out and warm up. We'll see if we can jump on board with any of them. Here's Ben Faulkner just going out. An incredible race one from him. And now going into race 2, let me just double check so I don't get this wrong. I believe it is a 21 lap race. It is, and it will be a reverse grid. So with 21 laps, that means that fuel strategy now becomes an option. And we have heard these drivers talk about it. We heard them talk about it last week to you, Liam, at Silverstone about how important tyre wear was and to conserve it so that you have it to spend at the end of the race. So given those two factors, tyre wear and fuel strategies, I'm curious to see if Adam can make it 2 for 2. Or will Matthew Dench have something to say about it in race number 2? And let's also not forget Ben Faulkner and Taya Sereno, as well as the other Hayne, Todd. Sorry, Todd, I forget your name momentarily there. But based on the pace alone at the front, it is very, very exciting to see what will happen in this upcoming race.
Yeah, how exciting is it to feel like the result is completely open as we go into race 2? Jared Knight, that recovery really important for him because he will start from pole and he has got pace to spare. Trent Allen's going to start alongside him. Dane Snadden after that fantastic race finish starts in 3rd with Gordon Marshall in 4th. Spicer and Serrano on the 3rd row with Hayne and Faulkner behind them, and then Dench and Adam Hayne at the back of the top 10, and we saw how difficult overtaking was in race 1, so their work is cut out for them. Preston in 11th and the lead of the open split. Fitzpatrick in 12th, Hooper in 13th, Maverick 11th, Lavis in 14th, Christensen in 15th, Fung Wong in 16th, Neal in 17th, Koch in 18th, Allison in 19th, and Wilson in 20th after retiring early for the previous race. Not sure if we've got any stragglers behind the top 20. We may do. It looks like Joe Baldwin has taken the field as the lights get ready to light. And then suddenly good to him again, and our work is done for the evening. Here we go. Jared Knight getting a good start. Bit of wheel spin there from a couple of the cars at the front. That's going to lead to some early changes, which will be a dream for those fast drivers starting a little bit further back. Tal Serrano is looking to get into 4th spot, maybe even make it into 3rd if he can. Gordon Marshall in 3rd currently. Spicer's in 5th. Hayne, Todd Hayne, that is, in 6th. Faulkner in 7th. And Adam Hayne in 8th. Up to everybody in the top 10 making positions except for Matty Dench, who has lost out and is now down in 9th place, going wide there. No, not as wide as Snadden behind him, who recovers it and is very lucky not to take out another car and will get away with it and maintain the position he's had basically since the start of race 1. And he'll hope to control the open well, not the open split, he's in the elite, but he'll hope to control that gap between the elite and the open split for the rest of the race. On your screen now is Matty Dench in that distinctive black and yellow PGZ livery, and there's been a collision in the background between Lavis, Preston and Baldwin, all getting caught up in some sort of incident there, all dropping down the field.
Yeah, we'll have a look at that once lap 1 resolves, I should say. But Jared Knight, look at that, had a poor race 1 start, but is cracking in race 2, leading the pack there from Trent Allen, Gordon Marshall, and Teo Serrano. Trent Allen there within that red window, as Todd Hayne is also catching up the Spicer. Ben Faulkner there in P7, and Matthew Dench early on wanted to make sure that he stayed ahead of Adam, and it was a close call as they got into Sector 2. They were side by side, but Matthew Dench managed to squeeze it out, and he will stay there in 8th position with Adam close behind. But we are only at the start of this race. We have 21 laps in total, and like I said before, strategies come into effect. So will these guys just absolutely see red and push it all the way to the end, or will we see some of those fuel strategies come into effect? Time will tell, but for now, I will say this. I applaud the grid because that was a much, much cleaner lap 1 than we saw in the first one.
It certainly was, and if it's going to stay clean, there's going to have to be some overtakes because there's a bit of difference in pace between some of these cars. In the top 10, you saw there the light blue car coming under pressure, and yeah, that's a move down the inside that was never going to work, just getting it wrong. And 2 cars taken out of the field, and then Baldwin having what looks like his own incident in the background. And Todd Hayne getting ahead of Spicer off field. Spicer also falling behind Ben Faulkner. That's what you can see right now. Ben Faulkner's on the inside of the black and red Vermilion. That's now the outside. Spicer's on the inside of the blue car. And I think if you Spicer, I think you're going to let Faulkner go, yeah. And indeed, man, Jen's going around the outside. So I think, I'm not sure Spicer was full throttle through there. Yeah, I've had a terrible run, which is losing pace on the way. Or didn't realize. Oh, Haynes sneaking his way through. Oh,
that is tricky. Yeah, he saw a window and he was like,
tonight.
Yeah, he saw that window and he was like, that's mine. And I will applaud him because that could have been really, really risky with the closing speed. But props to both of those drivers. Spicer, unfortunately, going a little wide there, so he will take the sacrifice and definitely lose the position coming into the next corner. But yeah, we saw Matt Dench go through. And Spicer, like you said, Liam, Spicer was already a little bit hesitant with Faulkner on the outside. And so he thought maybe I'll just back off and let him through. Matthew Dench went there. And you can see the cogs turning in Adam Hayne's head. You can see he's going, I need to be with that guy. I can't let that guy get past, I get way too ahead. I can't let there be a car in between us. So I need to make this work, and I need to make it work now, and he did so. And that is top-tier driving right there. This is what we love to see here in the GSRC.
See, normally, Tony, I would agree with you. With Dench being further back, look at the quality we have got on the field. Me and Daniel were basically giddy with excitement when we saw who had rocked up for tonight. Both Haynes, Jared Knight, Gordon Marshall, Tal Serrano, Ben Faulkner. There are a lot of aliens on this grid tonight. It's practically an invasion. And Dench not in a league of his own. You can't be in a league of your own. We've got that much quality in the field. He's going to have to work for every single spot. And as these drivers have been turning up for the last 2 or 3 weeks, I think we're going to be tuning to this all season long, which is just absolutely magnificent as we're watching Denchi chasing down the talisman of Vermilion Motorsport, Ben Faulkner. And Faulkner being left behind a little bit by Haynes, Serrano, Marshall and Knight ahead. Serrano, incredibly quick driver in everything that he races. And Jared Knight, look at that 3.6 second gap. He's going to owe Gordon Marshall a drink tonight, I reckon, because it's not just Jared Knight's pace that is doing that. Gordon Marshall does not have the pace of Serrano, Haynes and Faulkner they exhibited in race 1. Just look at the lap times. They're in the 1 minute high 1 minute 13s, and Jared Knight in the low 1 minute 12s. That has drastically improved this race. With Marshall alone 1:13 meant that Tao, Hayne and Dench can also be around that 1 minute 13 mark, but they've got more pace than that. We saw them in the 1 minute 12s in race 1, and I expect we'll see them in race 2 if they can get a bit of clean air, but that's all up to Tao to provide them, and perhaps Gordon. I'm not sure they've got the pace differential to make a move, certainly not easily. So we'll see how this unfolds, but could lead to some interesting field strategy if one of these guys decides to pull the pin and get some clean air early on.
Did you just catch that noise? So Teo Serrano cutting the clutch in just then. So there is fuel saving shenanigans going on. And what I'll do is I'll just take a moment to address what Tony Baker said in the chat. I'm 50-50 with you there, mate, because the thing is, everybody wants to see an absolutely flat shot race, right? We get that. But the thing that you have to understand, and I think that a lot of people have to open their minds to, When we see two drivers racing absolutely foot to the floor, no holds barred to the checkered flag, that is a showcase of skill between the two drivers, and we compare that skill and we applaud that skill. Fuel saving is a skill. Doesn't matter how you cut it, it's a skill, and it's something that you need to learn. Now, I understand, because I am one of these people. I suck at the driving. I suck even more at doing the math. So I understand when it's like, oh, I have to manage the tires, or oh, I have to, think about the fuel. But it's a skill nonetheless, and those who practice it and those who are good at it get rewarded. And so, although I can sympathize and I can understand, yes, we just want sprint races and just race to the end and things like that. If you just had that, you are essentially removing an aspect of motorsport, which it's a dynamic, and that motorsport is better with that dynamic than it is without. And I know some people are diehard one way or diehard the other, but for me, I believe that we are better off incorporating strategies like that than we are not doing that, because otherwise you would have a train, and it would just be a train all the time in races. So that's why that's my opinion. It's a hot opinion, but that's how I feel.
I agree. I am someone that I have very occasionally made a fuel save strategy work for me. Mainly because I'm error prone, so just going a little bit slower basically makes me less error prone. But the way I see it, sprint racing is like ice cream or chocolate. It's wonderful. It's amazing. I would kill for an ice cream right now. We're getting a brilliant one here. But I don't want it every time. I just don't. It's not sustaining. If I was just living on ice cream, I'd feel pretty sick pretty quickly. A proper race with a bit of fuel strategy, not heaps and heaps of it, but a good medium length race, or even like a 90-minute sort of F1 length race, that's like a proper roast dinner. And when you want a roast dinner, nothing else quite matches it. It's sustaining, it's relatively healthy, it's just all things to all people, and that's what a proper race is like, because you get the fuel strategy, but then you also get what is effectively the sprint racing towards the end, once the strategies are played out and these drivers know, either I get past you and I win, or I don't. No silly games, let's go door to door.
Yeah.
And that's what you can get from a full race.
Yeah. And the other thing too is, like, another thing to keep in mind, these guys fuel save and still pull off the same lap times. Like, do you know how ridiculous that is? For you to know the parts of the track where you can just be like, well, I've already got momentum here, I can coast, and I can fuel save. But to not sacrifice that much time, insane. And also, just to touch on Josh's comment there, maths, I'm here for the race and all that crap. That's why we have apps like Race Labs or Caps or iOverlay. In real life, of course, they have teams, engineers, race strategists, they have all the thing. But I agree. I agree with you, Josh. Sometimes I just like to focus on the race, but it is undeniable. It is undeniable. Fuel saving is a skill, and those who are good at it reap the rewards. And so it's one of those things where I just think people should strive to get better at it. It's annoying, and it's additional practice that you may not want to do. Oh, he pulled that car up. Todd Hayne locking up the rear tyres, but kept it out of the back of Teo Soretto. And so they continue on. Lap 9 at 21, and Jarrett Knight is doing an incredible job at the front of the field, 5 seconds ahead, which leads me to believe he's not paying attention to the maths. He's putting 100% into that engine and letting the chips fall where they may. But Gordon Marshall also doing a great job there in P2 currently, with Teo Sereno and Todd Hayne close behind. Matthew Dench and Ben Faulkner for P5 and 6. And Adam Hayne there in P7. And then the gaps start to get more and more significant as you go down the grid.
Yeah, they certainly do. And Ben Faulkner, the fastest guy in the top 10 at the moment, basically pushing Matty Dench towards this top group. Be interested to know if there's a difference in fuel strategy going on there, or if Faulkner's just found a bit of pace from race 1 as Jonathan Hooper has an off-track and collapses down the order in the background. There on screen right now is Todd Hayne. He's in the middle of this battle pack. That stems from Gordon Marshall down to Matty Dench, and then you've got Ben Faulkner included in that as well. A bit of a gap to Adam Hayne and a much larger gap to Dane Sandin, who's doing a better job of hanging on this race. So I think you're right. It's definitely a little bit more fuel games hanging on. I can't imagine Silence found a heap of space from pace from race 2, race 1. And there you go, Faulkner becomes the first to go into the pits, perhaps using a little bit of extra juice to see if he could get past Matty Dench, deciding, nah, it's not happening, I'm going to pit early, I'm going to get myself clean. That'd be really interesting to see where he comes out on this track. That could force the hands of those drivers ahead of him, because they will have to respond if he is driving in clean air and Gordon Marshall is still holding up these guys a little bit. I say that Gordon Marshall might not be, his lap times have improved a lot, and he is much closer to the lap times of Jared Knight now. So if Jared Knight's paying himself to Gordon Marshall, or Gordon Marshall has found a bit of time, his ultimate lap time is better, but I'm more interested in that relative between him and Jared Knight, and whether he is perhaps being the cork in a bottle, given there is a 5-second gap there. And I'd be seriously impressed if that 5-second gap would be there, if it was just Todd, Matty Dench behind Jared Knight.
I agree with you, Sam. Such strong field, brilliant racing on a wild track, 100%. It is definitely a wild track. It's one of the wildest tracks that we've seen. Again, like I said, not one that is fairly visited too often, but I'm glad that we did, because it is showcasing the balance of these cars. Like I said, they just wiggle left and right. They get pushed through all types of forces, through all the corners, and it is an absolute delight to see. And I will just touch again, just slightly on the fuel saving thing. I should have mentioned this, but I forgot. The ultimate solution, of course, is to do the Formula One model, which is you don't have refueling, but you have enforced pit stops. But we can't do that within iRacing without a lot of extra manpower. So that is the unfortunate downside. If we had extra manpower, it could be a possibility, but there's no way to enforce a mandatory pit stop in iRacing without setting a fuel limit. Because if you run out of fuel, you're screwed, right? So I agree that if we had that ability, that would definitely be the preferred option. But for now, this is the best that we can achieve.
Yeah, other than to make the race so long that the tyres wear out, but then your fuel tank would be big enough. Anyway,
Right.
I just want to call out, I'm not sure that strategy from Faulkner's going to work. He's immediately got into traffic. He did have 1.7 seconds of free space ahead of him, but he's quickly caught to the back of Joshua Thomas. So unless Joshua Thomas pits next time round, he's just going to be holding Faulkner up, and that will ruin that early stop strategy. So I think those guys going along, getting it right here. Unless Faulkner can pull off a miracle and get past, but he's already been held up by a full half a lap, and that's going to be a fair amount of time already, especially Spice hopping into the pits. We'll see if anybody else does. What a good job I didn't race tonight, because I actually never paid attention where the entry was. Oh, there you go. So he is going to get a bit of free air, is Faulkner. Already been held up a bit, so we just see what his lap time is, but he may just get away with it if he can put in a really good lap here. Might be able to buy himself some positions in that top 10.
So what's that? That's a 120. That's a 112.7. So
It's quick.
That
Faster than pretty much everyone in the top 10 except for Jared Knight.
That's crazy. So he was in traffic, but he didn't lose that much time at all. So now the question is, if the other guys pit, are they going to come out in traffic and be held up the same way? Because I'm thinking Ben Faulkner might be onto something here. Neither of the guys at the front have pit yet. I'll see if I can get those pit stops up there for you. We have the pit lap here information, so just have a look on that top left of your screen. So Ben Faulkner pitted lap 9, Allen lap 8, Spicer came in lap 11, Christensen lap 10, Thomas lap 11, and let me see some of the guys at the back going a little bit early. We have 4 people retired from this race, so we are down to 20. And yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how this all resolves once everybody comes in for their pit stops. Lap 13 to 21. And Jared Knight still leading this motor race with a comfortable 4.6 second gap.
Yeah, doing a fantastic job out front of Jared Knight. That gap has come down the last few laps. Marshall upping his pace. It was out at 5 seconds now, down to 4.3. Could be Jared Knight is going a little bit slower as well, so he could be doing a little bit of extra fuel saving just to make sure he's got the strategic offset he needs to do whatever he wants and give himself the best chance of victory. Here tonight, Faulkner once again won the fastest last time round, matching the lap time of Gordon Marshall, pretty much to the fastest guys on track. Just in the open split, interesting at the moment. You got Phil Wong in the lead, but he's yet to pit. Adam Lavis also yet to pit. Leader of those that are pitted is David Christensen and Joshua Thomas. So we'll have to wait and see how that all plays out in the open split. Oh, Todd Hayne. He's just got pace, hasn't he? You can see he's got more pace He had more pace than Ben Fulton in the last race. It looks like he's got more pace than Tal Sereno here. He just can't use it, can't get past, can't figure out how to make a move stick because he hasn't quite got enough extra pace to get past Tao ahead. Although he's got a good run out there, but it's not really an overtaking opportunity into the next corner.
Yeah, Tao.
Really difficult to overtake around here.
Yeah, Tao's doing some really good defensive driving right now. Todd Hayne, like you said, he does have the pace, and you can see Todd Hayne looking to try squeeze on the outside, but Tao knows that it's not the ideal line. You have to go way far over, risk an off track there. Here goes Todd Hayne. Maybe he'll try and see a side-by-side as he go through the left-hander, but it's probably not going to work. No, see, Tao knows where to park his car. He's playing this very, very smart. The thing with Todd Hayne is he's flirting with death. If they don't go into the pits this time by, I'll jump onto the onboard just on the roof there, and you'll see what I mean. But if we watch Todd Hayne, now I have a feeling they'll come into the pits, so this might not work, but we'll see nonetheless. So every time Todd Hayne comes around this hairpin, he is so close to the tyre barriers, it freaks me out. Have a look here. He looks to the inside. Watch how close he gets to the tyre barrier here. Actually, no, this time he gets a little bit side because he...
Here, though.
Yes, there's a bit of a nudge there, and that was tactical. So we'll see if he's got the speed, but it doesn't look like it. Teo seems to be holding on, and he does. So Todd might be able to use this slightly if he can keep the speed on the inside. I don't think he will do so. No, he will have to reserve back to there, and it must be frustrating to be Todd Hayne right now. But if you're Teo Sereno, either you're laughing inside that helmet, or you are sweating profusely.
So ahead of these games, Adam Hayne did pit, and he's come out behind Ben Fulton. So that strategy working wonders for Ben Fulton. He's got 15 seconds of clean track ahead of him, and he's already ahead of
no,
Adam
he's spun!
Oh, he spun! Todd Hayne goes round.
So that's unfortunate because I saw that developing. Here we go. So he tried to crisscross, but he took the too high of an angle. He went too high, unstable the car, and the Porsche Cup car is very prone to that type of thing. And now look at him. He's trying desperately to get back. That is time lost. That is absolutely devastating for Todd Hayne. And if you're Matthew Dench, you're looking to the skies and saying, thanks, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. The great Stig in the sky, doing his magic for Matty Dench there and getting Todd Hayne removed from his path. Certainly didn't look like that was going to happen without a little bit of some sort of racing god's intervention, and that's what we got there. Todd Hayne just getting more and more frustrated behind Tal Sereno, not able to keep a lid on it in the end, goes for a move that just wasn't on.
Yeah, and there's no contact there either. See that? There's no contact there. So
no
Teo Sereno had absolutely nothing wrong. That was simply Todd Hayne taking a little bit too much curb. And there's nothing wrong with that either. Like, the move is there, but the car was not stable enough for that. So when it bounced, the left rear got traction, spun him round, and unfortunately that meant that Todd Hayne is now down to P5. Neither of the guys at the front have done their pit stops either. So anything could happen. Lap 16 to 21, there's plenty of race to go. But as it stands right now, it's not an ideal position for Todd Hayne to be in.
No, it's not. It's not a race winner by any stretch of the imagination. He's still going to be solidly in that top 8 cars, but suddenly losing himself a heap of time and taking himself out of the running for the real high positions. He's out of the running for the podium, out of the running probably for a top 5, but still going to be solidly in the top 10. So it's probably likely only cost him 2, maybe 3 positions max, but it's still he'll be frustrated at that. He'll look at that and I think he'll know exactly what's happened there, exactly why he's done it, and think decision making could have made a better decision there. Yeah, almost certainly the move wasn't there in reality. Not in a Porsche Cup car, and he just paid the price for being overly ambitious. But it was make or break. Maybe he'll be happy. You know what? I took the risk to try and get more positions, and I'm happy that I took that risk. It's something to weighing up. Whenever you make a move, what's my risk of? What do I stand to gain? What do I stand to lose? And he decided he had more to gain there as we watch Paul Wilson trying to get a move done on Adam Lavis. Adam Lavis yet to stop. Paul Wilson has stopped, so Paul Wilson will have a bucket more pace than Adam Lavis, I imagine, unless Lavis had an incident. That's why he's down there. This corner, interesting to see how the cars take it, because I think there's quite a big difference between the fast guys and the slower guys through that corner. You keep the throttle on for a lot longer than it feels like you can. Until you sort of get it right, if that makes sense. I found well over a second in that corner from my early attempts. And here we go. All the leaders, except for Matty Dench, going into the pit lane. So that's Knight, Marshall, Serrano, and Todd Hayne in pit lane. Dane Snadden looks like he's gone round again, following Matty Dench. So we'll see where these guys come out relative to Ben Faulkner, who's just going through the hairpin as we speak, still with clear track ahead of him for now.
Watch
Jared
this.
Knight is out of pit lane.
Watch this. Ben Faulkner is going to rock
Ahead
it.
of Serrano.
Yeah. And so there we go. It worked in his favour. Now, he does have a back marker in between that Blake Fitzpatrick there for P19, but I'm sure that won't cause him any issues. Hopefully, Blake will just move aside once he has the ability to do so. But then the fight is on. Now, Dane Snadden hasn't pitted, neither has Matthew Dench. So Dane Snadden will be a wild card there. But the question on everyone's mind will be, does Matthew Dench come out in front of Jared Knight? Or has Jared Knight got enough power in that car to at least come side by side once they come on the exit? History will tell us that Matthew Dench probably has plenty of time. But we'll see. We'll see. Sonoma has a very weird pit lane. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I think we'll learn something when we see Matty Dench's lap time. Nothing special that time round. He is going around again. Dane Snadden, whoever pulls into the pit lane, and yeah, there you go. Really good job there from Fitzpatrick to get out of the way, not just of Ben Faulkner, but anyone else that could conceivably think of themselves as being in that battle for the podium positions, and confirmation that Faulkner is indeed in what is effectively a podium position, but we don't know which one yet because it all depends on where Matty Dench comes out, and he is 5 seconds behind Jared Knight, which was about the gap that Jared Knight had to Gordon Marshall throughout all the first stints. So it'll be interesting to see what Faulkner can do. Can he close that gap down, and can he pull Pal Serrano along with him?
Surely.
And then when does Matty Dench come out?
Surely Matthew Dench doesn't have enough fuel safe to not pit, right?
He's done it before. It's just Denchy doing Denchy things.
I wonder if that's the play here.
It could happen.
Sam, yeah, I think he might. I think he might, and that's. Let me just. I know I'm beating a dead horse here, but that's the skill we're talking about. If you can do that, power to you. It's just like he did it and kept the pace. Like
Well, has he though?
Well,
Has he though?
It's lap 20 at 21. You telling me he's going to pit on the white flag?
You might do.
That,
Yeah, don't count your chickens. Don't count your chickens until they are hatched. Yes,
you're
it's
true.
Denchy doing Denchy things,
that's true.
but you never quite know. You never quite know. Or maybe they has to do like a heap of fuel saving on the final lap. We've seen that before.
Let's listen.
We've seen him have to not get on the throttle coming out the final corner.
Yeah, here we go. So just listen through here. Let's have a listen. He's trying to make it home. Look at this. Oh my God, Matthew Dench, you will never cease to amaze me, my good man. Look at this. Oh my God.
He's going for it.
That's like throwing a bucket of sea salt on the open wounds of your competitors. He has a 14-second gap, ladies and gentlemen. 14 seconds. And he's like clutching in for at least the whole back end. It's a white flag. This guy's making it home.
Well, I think we know who's going to win, unless he flat out runs out of fuel, which I don't see happening.
I think if you're the organizer of the event, you might have to like drop the fuel level. You might have to drop it again, or increase the laps. I don't know, but this is ridiculous.
He's just throttle it all.
It's.
Here it is. Oh, he almost got to snap an oversteer there. Imagine
Can you imagine?
fuel saving.
Oh my God! Oh my God! But look at this man. Look at this man. And I shouldn't be surprised. I shouldn't be surprised because he showcases this every single time he gets into the Porsche. But look at this guy. He has fuel saved. He knew exactly the number he had to hit. He hit that number. And as he comes up to the final hairpin, he will cross the line to be the only driver, except Adam Lavis. Adam Lavis also doesn't have a pit, but Matthew Dench will cross the line and take the win here at Sonoma. And he did so without a single bit of fuel added to the car. I just take my hat off to the man. What a guy.
That has got to be one of his best drives in the Porsche Cup. To put 13.5 seconds on Knight, Faulkner, Serrano, and both Haynes, that is next level.
Fuel saving, though. The guy is fuel saving to the nth degree and is still like, yeah, no worries, I'll keep up the lap pace. Honestly. And this is to take nothing away from the other drivers, yeah? Everyone at that top end was drove, but Jesus Christ, every time you think there's a person there that's like right there challenging, then she just clicks it up that other notch. Is there any limit? Is there any actual limit to what this guy is capable of?
I think there is. Otherwise he would have got the win last round. So he's not unbeatable. We've seen that proven enough times to know that is the case, particularly in the Porsche Cup. It's just very, 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 very difficult to do. You have to drive a perfect race to beat Ben Dench. That's what you know when you get into a race with Denchi. And we've got the first driver from that race joining us in the broadcast room now, and that is Ben Faulkner of Vermilion Motorsport, who finished in 3rd place after a ball strategy taking an early pit stop. Ben, can you just talk us through that strategy? And did you think you might have locked up a little bit when you came out 1.5 seconds behind? I can't remember who it was, but the open class car was ahead of you.
Yeah, so I made a mistake at the start and had a big lock up, and then I knew I had pace to get past them, and I didn't really want to have to fuel save the whole race, so I just ended up pushing, and then I thought it's pretty hard to overtake here. It'll cost too much time, so I looked at my track map. There was a gap there. Burned the fuel when I came out with a bit of fresh air. Luckily, a few of the guys who were there pitted when I was about to come past them, so it gave me some fresh air, and then I managed to undercut, I think, 3 or 4 guys, which helped quite a bit.
Yeah, it certainly did. Pretty much everybody up to and including Tal Serrano and Jared Knight, really the only driver that you weren't able to undercut in that lead group of cars during that stint. But even if you'd managed to get Jared Knight, I mean, we were talking, thinking, he's put himself in the position for podium, but we don't know what podium position, because we'll have to wait and see what happens when Denchi pits, and then Denchi didn't pit. Did you think a no stop was on the cards at all?
Yeah, I knew that it was possible, but it's no fun when you do that. Just fuel saving the whole race. It's not enjoyable. So me and Terry just sacked it and put our foot down and actually did some hot laps. But yeah, it is what it is.
Let's jump in real quick. Ben, so when you came in for your pit stop, obviously you were the first person to pull that trigger, and then you came out into some slight traffic, but you still managed to do a 12.7. So was it a benefit because you had a draft? So the gap, the traffic was so far ahead that it didn't really affect you, or was it just you can make that work?
I managed to get past the traffic at the right times to not really affect my laps, and I was doing pretty consistent laps, and the car felt pretty good, so I was just lapping as if it was another day. But yeah, it didn't affect me as much as I thought it might. It was a big risk to take, and I couldn't really do much else, so I thought I'd take it and see how it ended up.
Certainly the more fun option, and you've referenced, you wanted to have fun a few times already in the booth. Were you able to achieve that, and was it fun trying to defend from Tau at the end of the race?
Yeah, I did actually underfuel a little bit, so I ended up with 0.1 litres at the end, so I had to fuel save a bit as well. I think that's because I started pushing too hard and I was using too much fuel. But yeah, it was a good race. I think it might be a good idea in the future to add like a compulsory pit stop, just so it's more interesting, so then everyone has to pit. But yeah, I mean, Dench should probably still come out in front because he fuel saves so much, so but it might make it a bit more interesting if it's a bit closer. But yeah, it was good fun.
Yeah, I think we mentioned, Daniel mentioned it earlier, that it's just the admin burden to mandate the pit stops.
Yeah.
It's the main barrier to something like that being implemented, but I'm sure I think it's something that was even discussed in the GT. I think it was GT3 as well in the Porsche Cup. I remember Adam Lay was posting about it, saying, "Hey, what are your thoughts on us further reducing the fuel to really try and stop this?
I mean,
or do we leave it in as a strategy, basically?"
this can be solved easily. iRacing, if you're listening, give us the option to mandate a pit stop. Just put it in the game. Or the sim, sorry if I offended anybody, just put it in the sim, then we don't have to worry about it. But until we have that option, we need more manpower to go watch the replay from every single perspective and make sure that people actually did their pit stops. So that's where the limit is. But if we just had the option to mandate it, then we do that. So iRacing, do it. Hurry up.
Or to increase tyre wear. To make the tyre wear 4 or 5 times higher.
I don't know about that one. As a driver, Ben, if the tyre wear was artificially increased, what's your thought on that?
It'd make it a lot more difficult. I think the tyre wear is already pretty difficult. If you get any sort of sideways action, your tyres are pretty dead for the next 2 laps. So I think the tyre wear is pretty good at the moment. Yes. But yeah, maybe lowering the fuel could be a good idea. But yeah, either way, it's good fun.
Excellent. We've been joined in the box by 2 more drivers, and we'll speak to them in the order that they came in. Jared Knight beating Matty Dench in the race in the box, even if we couldn't quite get him in the race on track. Jared, how are you feeling about the race? You spent a lot of time tucked up behind Gordon, and then finally managed to get a clear bit of... Sorry, no you weren't. You were in the lead for a lot of the race, ahead of Gordon, and he acted as a bit of cork for the drivers behind. You must have been feeling pretty good, and then the penny must have dropped and you must have realised that Denji wasn't going to pit and give you back your lead.
Yeah, once I was kind of expecting him to at least go one more lap. So, yeah, when I saw him go past, when I was coming out, I wasn't overly surprised. But yeah, once he just sort of kept going around and around and around, then yeah, it is what it is when you race against M Dench, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's just, as we said in the commentary boxes, Denji doing Denji things and very, very good at a marginal no-stop race. That seems to be a speciality for sure. He did really well making the most of that pole position after you had a tough first race in which you came unstuck at the first corner. Do you want to just talk us through that incident?
Yeah, it's nothing against Denchi. Like, it's just, I don't know. I just feel like I probably deserved a bit of room there, and I don't know. We touched, and it unloaded me, and that was it. So yeah, just had to just send it for the rest of the race, and yeah, was able to pull off a few good moves and get into that 10th spot, and get the pole position, and then yeah, just not bin it in the second race and secured a good result.
Yeah, fair to call it one of those lap 1 incidents that just happened, particularly when you got an interesting first corner like that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. At any point did you think about going for the no stop? Was it something you thought about before the race? We spoke to Ben before he came on. He was saying that it was something he thought about, but he just prefers driving flat out, so he decided he'd do that just to have a bit more fun with it. Is there something you considered, or were you always going to go for the one stop?
Yeah. Once I start sort of doing something out of the norm with these things, it never really ends well. So, yeah. So just concentrated on just getting it around the track, and then yeah, there was no fuel saving at all, no lifting, and yeah, I guess then she was just able to tuck himself up behind the cars and hit a number and yeah, make it home.
Yeah, I think you can hang your head high after that performance in the feature race. Again, trying to get from the front for most of it, going at a really, really good pace and holding off a pack of incredibly fast drivers behind you. Probably the strongest. I think it's probably the strongest field we've potentially ever had in a Porsche Cup race at the GSRC. Certainly in my time covering the Porsche Cup. So congratulations.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. This season's a couple of guys missing here and there, but the overall quality, of the whole grid is much stronger than it has been over the past couple of seasons. So, it's good to be a part of it, and we'll look forward to. Actually, I'll miss next week. I'm going to the 12-hour, so I'll probably see you in a couple of weeks.
Awesome. Well, enjoy the 12-hour, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks, and have a great time.
Thanks, Liam. Thanks, mate.
And we'll move over now to Matty Dench, who rounds out the podium for our race to the comms box, but still on the top step in the feature race after a tougher sprint race. We'll start with just talking us through that sprint race. How frustrating was it trying to make a move and just not being able to get past the cars ahead?
Yeah, I mean, following Hayne was really good. We had the pace to stick with him, but just not the pace to sneak it by. So yeah, we just sat in there and took a good podium.
Yeah, it was a very good race. That sprint race was very, very entertaining despite the relative lack of moves, because we could see everybody pushing it, and the lap times were just out of this world phenomenal, even though they were a good second slower than the qualifying times. Feature race though was, I assume a no stop was always a plan, because there's no way you could switch that halfway through and make it work. Just how marginal was it though?
Well, sitting on the grid just before the green light, it was like 5.5 litres. It told me I needed to save, so it's going to be tough. But pit lane's pretty long here, so I thought we'd jump in there and have a go.
Yeah, and can you walk us through the main areas of fuel saving that you were able to find? We noticed you clutching in a bit on the stream in one or two locations. Can you just talk us through what a lap looks like for saving on board of Denji?
Very, very slow compared to a normal lap. It's pretty much lift everywhere early, and then in a couple of places you can get to do it quite a bit earlier with the downhills.
Yeah, noticed as it coming towards the bottom of the hill where you got that light left hand and then you got the right hand before you hit the hairpin. It seemed like you were clutching in really early and then just coasting through there the whole way rather than touching your brakes at all.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just try and carry the speed, and as long as you get your turning right, you can carry quite a bit of speed through the middle of the corners. So yeah, you just try to take advantage of it.
Do you ever play with where you have to clutch in and out to shift where the center balance is?
The only time I play with the clutch is like when I was going through, like coming into turn one, where I'm letting the clutch out while I'm turning. You usually got to release it pretty slowly.
Yeah, otherwise you're just guaranteeing the spin.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Excellent. So, a fantastic performance from yourself. Is that one of your proudest victories in Porsche Cup, considering the strength of the field that we had tonight?
I think this season, any winner is going to be pretty tough to come by. So yeah, if you can get it on the podium, it's definitely a good night.
I might just jump in real quick here, Liam. So Matt, first off, like, absolute hat off to you, mate. We see you do magic time and time again, but that, what'd you say it was, 5 litres?
5.5, and a lap flat out was about 1.7.
Yeah. So, okay. Here's my thing. So obviously this is vindication for last week, no doubt about it. You obviously had that unfortunate incident in the pit lane.
I don't remember that.
Fair enough. So obviously the win here is fantastic. But how much practice do you have to put in to know how much fuel you can save per lap and still keep a relatively high pace?
Honestly, while the pack's all bunched up, so the first 2 laps, so basically the second lap, you try and do a bit of fuel saving to sort of like judge how much more you need to do, and then it's just a little bit of a gamble whether you can make it happen from there.
So, if I understand that correctly, you're essentially doing the math in the first couple of laps and then just sort of being like, yeah, all right, I might make it. Like, this is not a predetermined, like, oh yeah, I did 20 hours here and I know what I can save. You're judging this on the fly from green flag.
Like, I jumped in the server when the server opened. I did flat out laps, and then the start of the second race, the first 2 laps, I judged whether I could make it or not.
Yeah, right. Mate. Oh, absolute props to you. And on that point, absolute props to everyone at the front of the grid. This was a spectacular race from everyone involved, and I'm so happy to see the caliber of skill getting higher and higher with each season. And this is just absolutely magnificent racing, and a well-deserved win from you, mate. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Look forward to the following round.
Yeah, and if you're listening, Zach, you chose one hell of a round to miss, because that was chaos between the two. An absolutely classic Spreyton non-alcoholic cider Thursday night action at the GSRC with the Formula V's putting on 3 absolute stunners, and then the Porsche Cup following it up more than ably with a intriguing tactical race that had us on the edge of our seats for the entirety of it, not knowing what was going to happen. Denchi played a key part in that, and thank you for joining us in the comms box. Good luck for next week, and we'll talk to you again then.
Yeah, we'll see everyone on Monday night.
Excellent. So, before we take our leave for tonight and leave you to your well-earned rest, I assume you're all as tired from the excitement of watching that as me and Daniel are. We'll first run through what we've got coming up at the GSRC over the next week. So it starts off with Friday night in the Super Formula at Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya, a track that may not remain on the F1 calendar for that much longer given the appearance of Madrid streets. It has a huge I say that wholeheartedly. So get your fix while you can on Friday night. Tomorrow race starts at, just double checking that for you, race starts at 8. So sorry, just double check what that's that race or so. Race starts at 8:30 in Sydney time, and if you're not in Sydney or Melbourne, then figure it out. You're probably used to it because Sydney and Melbourne think that they are all of Australia. We've then got Saturday, and also that's just where everybody is, so it makes sense to do the times from there. Then on Saturday, it's Mountain Men, Mount Panorama, GR86s, great combination, 32 laps. Get out for a bit of social fun on Saturday night. Then on Sunday, another more social series, the V8 Past and Present Oval Series at Daytona. Starts at 8:30 p.m, Mount laps to be announced. Great, both of those great fun events that you can just hop in with minimal practice. They're a little bit less serious. If you've got a weekend where the kids are out, your partner's away, or you're just really got nothing else to do, get on out on the track and have a laugh and hop into the Discord. Then on Monday night is our next broadcast, brought to you by Zach and Adam, and that will be the Super 2s at Oran Park and the GT3s at Road Atlanta. I'm right, it is Zach and Adam, isn't it, on a Monday night?
Yes, that's correct.
Yes. Just thought I better not make sure I haven't insulted you by not including you in that. GT3 is always fantastic, as are the Super 2s. I was commentating those last season, and they are great fun, and Zach does a great job of bringing those to you on a Monday night. Then on the Tuesday, we've got the up-and-comers circuit to be announced, but it'll be the V8 Supercars, and that will start at 7.5, and that was followed by the surprisingly popular GT1 Civil War. It started last season, and it immediately drew strong numbers, and has continued to do so into this season. So get on out, and that's at Spa-Francorchamps at 9:15. Then on Wednesday, we have the GR86s, followed by the GT4, so it's the underpowered day of the week. But great racing in both those cars, both quite easy to drive. If you're one of the newer drivers looking for a more serious series that's a bit more traditional than Formula these you cannot go wrong with racing on a Wednesday night. And we've got Philip on the GR86, followed by Magello for the GT4 starting at 7:45 with GR86s. Then we get to Thursday next week, Red Bull Ring for the Formula V's. That's going to be wonderful. And then Road America for the Porsche Cup. Can't wait to join you, whether I'm in the booth or on track. I'll be there in some form or the other. Hopefully we got Zach back, because he brings you the race in a manner that nobody else at the GSRC can replicate. Although hopefully you've enjoyed tonight's broadcast all the same. And of course, all of these broadcasts are brought to you by a range of sponsors. The main sponsor for tonight for the Formula V's and the Porsche Cup are Spreyton non-alcoholic cider, but we have a range of sponsors that help us out at the GSRC. They include M-Wave Australia, Player One Sim Gear, Spreyton non-alcoholic cider, who are your title sponsors for Thursday night at the GSRC. Waste Options. Flash Graphics. And last but not least, we have Lobesy Racing. Daniel, any final thoughts before we say goodbye to our wonderful viewers?
No final thoughts from me. The racing did all the talking, and I hope you guys enjoyed it because we sure did here in the booth. The only thing I'll say is, of course, if you'd like any GSRC merch, make sure to go to merch.gsrci.com or gsrcmerch.myshopify.com and get yourself a shirt or a hoodie or a stubby holder for all that. If you want any more information on the club, you can get that at race.tgsrci.com. We'd love to have new members jump in. If you think the racing is fun, you should try doing it. It is way more fun from behind the driver's seat than it is watching. Other than that, no, I have absolutely nothing else to say. I think that we had an absolutely incredible night, and I cannot wait to see what next week brings us.
Yeah, certainly second that. Next week's going to be spectacular. It's going to struggle tonight. This was truly a special night of racing. Thank you for sharing it with us. It's been a pleasure bringing you all of the action from tonight. So from me, from Daniel, and from the rest of the GSRC, until next time, good night.